Well, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and good morning, everybody. Good morning, everybody. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Welcome to another episode of The Morning Glow. Morning Glow. Got a great broadcast lineup for you this morning, as I hope and I pray that we always do. I'm not important, I'm just a question asker. But I have someone here that is very important. This is my sister from another mother, but we got the same father. This is Zamari. Good morning, young lady. How you doing this morning?
I'm good. How are you? How are
Hey,
you? How are you?
doing good, feeling better. I'm feeling better, man. I had a doggone situation with my sinuses, man. It was acting up on me last couple of days, and I had to go to the doctor and get some medication for that thing, man. I feel so much better right now, and I'm ready. I am ready. But I watched some football. Do you look at football?
No, I don't
Oh
watch
man.
any sports.
Oh man. I looked at football, man. We got the final two teams in the NFL that's going to the Super Bowl. Kansas City
Okay.
Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. And I thought Cincinnati was going to do it because Cincinnati has a great team, but Kansas City pulled it out, and Cincinnati had beaten them the last 3 or 4 times they played. And Kansas City quarterback had a bum ankle. He was hurt. His ankle was hurt. So I figured I was like, man, Cincinnati gonna be in the Super Bowl again this year. But yeah, you have to play the game. You have to play the game. So congratulations to Kansas City, and congratulations to the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm multitasking. Okay, I want to talk to you about something, Zamar. This is something, and I saw this example. A man was going for. I'm gonna give you the whole story. A man was going for an interview, and he did very well at the interview. They called him back for a second interview. You know how, like, when you going for a job on a certain level, they'll call you back for an interview, and then the second interview, maybe third interview, meet with the team and all that stuff. He had gone through all that, but completed the second interview. Next interview, he wanted to go and have. He was going to let him go and have lunch with the owner of the company. He was just that impressive. Went they went and they met, nice fancy restaurant. Man was like, "Wow, this is a nice place." And they sat down. They was talking. They ordered their food in conversation. The food came. The boss man just sit there, kind of stared at him for a minute, and see what he was gonna do. The man said, "Oh man, this looks good. This looks very good. The food it looks amazing. It looks amazing," is what he said. And so what he did, he reached for the salt, put some salt on it, and reached for some pepper, put the pepper on it, and then mixed all the salt and pepper into the food, and commenced to eating the food. And the boss, he started eating as well. They talking like everything was okay. The man did not get the job, and he was his mind was blown because he knew that they connected. It was a great conversation. The dinner was outstanding, and he asked the question, "Well, why am I not being hired?" He said, "Well, I'm gonna tell you why. I'm looking for a kind of person at this company right now. I'm looking for the kind of person at this company right now that would not come in and try to change things before he recognized what was going on with the company." He said, "Well, what make you think I would do something like that?" He said, "Because you got your food." He said, "The food could have been perfect. The food could have been perfect, absolutely amazing. It's a great restaurant. They take pride in what they do. It's a great restaurant. But what you do when the food came, you complimented the food and say how great it looked, but you took the salt and you changed that. You took the pepper and you put that in there. You mixed it in with the food that was already prepared for you, and you just started eating. So I don't want that kind of person with my company that's gonna try to change something before he go in." Now, Zamari, does that make sense?
Okay, as you were telling this story, I already knew where this was going because
Hmm.
I have heard of this happening before, and a
Yes.
lot of people not might not be aware of this. Um, but what happens when somebody like that
Hmm.
who is the boss is hiring you or potentially hiring you for a position, they
Hmm.
will take you out to dinner. They might take you out
Yes.
to dinner, and they
Hmm.
do that to watch your mannerisms, to
Hmm.
watch every action and move that you make while at that table, how you
Hmm.
eat, how you carry yourself, how you present yourself. All of those things matter. They pay attention to every detail.
Every detail. Yeah.
um so it does make a lot of sense to me because he was watching what he was doing, how he was eating his food, what he was doing to the food, and then making a decision from there. And so in some ways, I think it was kind of clever of the boss to do that. Um, because he sat there and he heard the guy say, "Wow, this looks amazing." But then he proceeded to change what the meal was or how the meal would have tasted before tasting it. So it does make sense. I know it seems a little messed up to do that, but it does make sense. And depending on what sort of position, was this like an executive position? Was it a higher end position? Okay, that is why.
Yeah.
That is why. Yeah.
Because he would have he had the ability to make that difference. He had the ability to make a difference in the position that he was going to hold in that company. But what if he would have been a great employee though? What if he would have been the one that could have and most companies is concerned with the bottom line. What if he could have increased that bottom line? He's still not a good fit.
He may have, but the fact is they walked into that restaurant as that example, because the boss was using that as an example, right?
Yes.
But he walked into that restaurant and he already was changing something. And so, like I said, like I get it. I really do get it because I have heard of this, and I've always been very aware of things like this ever since I started hearing stories like that. So for me, it always goes back to presentation, how we present ourselves, right? Like what we were talking about with women dressing up. Do they dress up for themselves or for other people? And I had said, like when I go out to a dinner with my husband, whether it's with coworkers or whatnot, I'm presenting myself in a similar, whatever particular way. And because I'm aware of stories like this, I am very careful with how my posture is, with how I serve myself, my food, everything that I do, because every little minuscule detail, especially when you're in those higher positions, they pay attention. They pay such close attention to every behavior.
Is it or could it be borderline judgmental when they judging you based on how you do those different things? Because if somebody have a certain twitch, if somebody have a twitch, people are very insensitive to people medical conditions and stuff like that. They would come at that person because of their twitch.
They would, but typically that's something that you would be aware of because that would be on their medical paperwork, right? If it was a medical condition. Then they wouldn't really hold that against you. But if it's something that's not medically recognized and you have that, if I were a boss, and if I noticed it, I would maybe mention it. If I'm looking at you as a hiree, I'm going to hire you. You're a potentially somebody I want in this position. I would definitely ask that question. I would not hold back on asking that question as to what's this about, but
see the thing about it, and I love how you describing this, and I love how you are tackling it, but because of the fact that what does that say about them? Just because of the fact that maybe they just like salt, maybe they just like pepper. I mean, does that necessarily?
I like it too, but I understand where the executive was coming from. Like I said, so I don't really have a biased opinion. Is it unfair to the person that was looking to be hired? I mean, yeah, because to him, it could probably feel like he was completely bamboozled and railroaded, but again, this is why if you're hiring or looking to hire into a position of something like that, right? You should know those things. You should know that they're going to take you out to dinner and kind of test you a little bit. You should already know and be prepared for that. But I mean, you could so much as sneeze into your napkin or something, into your napkin, and they would take that any kind of way. So
that's why, and that's my point. Is it that dinner could, because of the fact that if a person knows what they do or how they do it, you could be walking on eggshells. Throughout that whole meal, because what are they going to judge me on? What are they looking for? And you can't be your original authentic self because you know that you're being judged, you're being looked at, you're being examined, and you may represent yourself in not the best way because you're just trying to represent yourself so well, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. But okay, so you said your most authentic self. If you're a
Yeah.
professional businessman of any sort,
Mm-hmm.
me as an average consumer, I'm not looking for you to be your most authentic self. I'm
Mm-hmm.
looking for you to be professional.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. That's good. That's good. That's good. Badger, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Morning.
Boy, you sound like you sound like a ball of energy.
I just woke up.
Okay, me too. We all did. We all did, but we still got that energy. We still got that. We still bring that thing. But I'm just picking at you. But listen, we're talking about a situation. We got Stanley on the line. So I'm gonna go to him right after you. So Stanley, stay on standby. I'm coming to you next. We're talking about a situation. I'm gonna give you a quick version where a man was going for a job. He went through all the interview phases with one first interview, second interview, third interview. Fourth interview was a meal with the boss. Went out, meal. He was impressed. He was very impressed by the restaurant, and they sat down, and he was talking about how amazing everything is. The ordered food came out, and the boss sit there and stared at him for a second. And the man, he said, "Oh man, the food looks amazing. The food looks outstanding." He got the salt and pepper, put some salt in it, stirred it in, put some pepper, stirred it in, and ate. He didn't get the job because the boss said that he's the kind of individual, the kind of personality that would try to change something before he tasted it to make sure that it was right. And that's not the kind of person that he want with his company. Was the boss right or wrong, or was he very petty?
You said he's the type of person that would do what?
That would try to change something before he tasted and make sure whether it was already perfect or not.
But the person has to eat the food, right?
Yes, but see, as you're digging too deep into this thing, what the boss wanted to know was would he at least taste the food to see was it perfect before he go in there and try to change it.
From my understanding, that the guy would
Who?
eat the food.
Yeah, and that's what the boss he said he wanted the kind of people that will come into his company and not try to change his company when they come into the door, but look at it and see what it is. If there's anything that needs to be fixed, then fix it at that particular time. But when the food came, the man, instead of tasting the food, maybe it didn't need salt or pepper, maybe it needed nothing, maybe it was perfect. But he, without tasting it, took the salt and pepper, put salt in it, put pepper in it, stirred it up, and ate it. And the boss said he don't want that kind of personality in with his company. We got some Mario back. There she go. Okay, what do you say
I
to that,
mean,
Badger?
there's people out there like that.
Okay, but we talking about. I'm asking you, was the boss right or wrong?
Do what?
Badger, I'm asking you about the boss itself and his perception of it.
I mean, if he's doing it as a test, then that's that's a really good way to see if someone tries something before they try to change it, to be
Hmm.
honest.
Yeah, and that was his whole point. That was his whole.
However,
Hmm.
it's just one of those things of it's an end of some are going to probably agree and others are probably going to say they're too petty.
Mm. What do you say?
So
I'm asking what Badger say.
I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Okay,
That's
okay,
the perception of the person that's hiring. That person's in charge of the job place.
yeah.
If you don't like them, why would you want to work for them to begin with?
Well, the man wanted the job, Badger. The man wanted a job to provide for
Go
his family.
somewhere else.
Wow, wow. Stanley, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. Good morning. Doing good. Doing good.
What
Yeah,
do you what do you say about that example?
that's the year. That's the years out of know. Wow. Because like I said, that's his confidence,
Mm-hmm.
and he can go choose to hire and fire who he wants to. And with the guy putting the salt and pepper, it wasn't the fact that he just that's a habit basically.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody, because I do it sometimes,
Mm-hmm.
and then sometimes I don't. But by that being his company, it might be petty, but it's his choice.
Mm-hmm.
But person that eating the food, once they get to a certain routine, a certain food you look at, like we take grits for example. Most people that are gonna eat grits, they're gonna put salt on them before they even taste them. Sometimes they're perfect, sometimes they're not. But
Mm-hmm.
that's like a yes and a no for me because like to his company, if that's the standards that he wants to have, as petty as it is, that's his choice.
But
So
but
you can't get mad at him, even though the man wants the job.
Yeah. But there is
most people
there
like,
is some pettiness involved. But there is some pettiness involved there.
yeah, because like I say, it's not that the guy maybe wants to come in and change his company. If he looks at it like that, that's just a habit that some people have before they taste their food. They're gonna put some hot sauce on, they're gonna put some salt and pepper on or whatever. But it's not that they want to come in and change the company necessarily. It's just that the certain habits they have. But like I say, hey, he's the owner. He can, he can make that petty choice if he wants to.
Okay.
It's kind of crazy,
but see, and what it was, the boss was looking at it as a personality trait. That type personality coming in, and if you have that kind of personality, I don't want that personality. I don't want that energy in my company because you're gonna come in here and try to change something before.
It's not necessarily a personality trait. Most of the time, it's just a habit. If you've been doing something a certain way for 20 years, he could have been the best worker that man ever had. That doesn't necessarily mean he's going to come in and try to change something. He may see something wrong in the company, might try to change it later, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to come into the company right then and change it. So that's prejudging that brother or that sister or that man or whatever.
Do you think people
prejudging him on a habit that he has?
Do you think people are creatures of habit? Do you think
the habit he has with his food is a habit that he has in the work ethic? Work ethic.
I see you.
Things, but he's looking at a tunnel vision. If he does that to his food, he's going to come in and try to change my company. That's not necessarily his personality. That's just his habit.
Okay. Do you think people? Do you think, Stanley? Do you think people are creatures of habit? And if that be the case, then that trait could roll over and filter over into another area as well.
I don't think it was necessarily your work habit. Like I said, he could have been the best worker he ever had, but he never gave him a chance because he judged him on something that really has nothing to do with him coming in and changing the company. That's just the way he eats his food. That doesn't mean he's not going to get to work 15 minutes early. That doesn't necessarily mean he's not going to give them 150% on the job. You know what I'm saying? But he didn't give him a chance to because he judged him on the habit of salt and pepper his food or his taste buds. You know what I'm saying?
I understand.
He's got a bad habit as far as work ethic.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but let me go to Zamari. Then we're gonna go to Tucson. Zamari, what's in your heart? I saw you over there. You was like, man, what's on your heart?
So the thing that you're leaving out is the type of position, though, when you're asking this question, right, Raheem?
Yes.
And you're leaving out the fact that this is a higher up position. This is an executive type position.
Yes.
And so we have to go back to, like I said, this is something that people in that world will do to put you to the test. It's not uncommon. So yes, it might be habit, but if you are applying for that sort of a position, you should already know the etiquette. You should already know the rules of the game before you even ever accept that dinner. Okay. I don't know if you play video games or not, Raheem. Or if anybody else here really does, right? Okay. So back in the day, my husband still plays World of Warcraft, but back in the day, we had our own guild that we ran. We had over 300 people in the guild. I think it was more than that even, but it was a pretty large guild. Okay. So let's use that as an example. When we would try people out for our guild, for our raid teams, we would put them through basically a test. Okay. If they were a tank, if they were a healer, if they were a damage dealer, whatever their role was, we would run them through almost like a gauntlet and put them to the test, like through this rigorous type test. And if we noticed things that were wrong with how they were doing whatever, they weren't able to keep up, whatever the situation, we're like, hey, you have to fix this. And sometimes we wouldn't even go there. We would, yeah, that's fine. We would, if we didn't think they were worth our time, we wouldn't even go there. But if we did so much as think so, or they would even come back and say, well, why didn't I make the cut? We tell them, well, we gave you instruction. We said not to do this or to do that or change this or change that. You didn't want to change it. Or because, and that's why we're running the gauntlet. We say, hey, you should do this instead. But because they're so stuck in whatever they want to do, right? Like, you're not cut out for this. You're not what we're looking for. But we never told them what we were looking for because we wanted to see how they were going to perform on their own terms. We wanted them to do that first. And so either they made the cut or they didn't. So you can't really test somebody if you're telling them what you're expecting, what's going to happen ahead of time, right? You don't tell them the test before the test. You don't give them the answers to the test.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing with this dinner being set up the way that it was. It was a test, and he failed.
Wow.
But Rob, he just said that they were given instructions and they didn't do what they were told to do. That's two different scenarios.
But it's not really because I said we didn't always do that.
You said that when y'all failed because we gave you specific instructions on what to do and you didn't do it.
But we didn't always do that. We only did that with certain ones that we dubbed worth our time to do that with. There were other ones where we just there was just something that wasn't right there. It didn't fit. And we wouldn't waste our time with giving those instructions. You see what I'm saying?
Tucson, what's on your heart, brother? Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good. I'm trying to get in where I fit in because I'm catching the tail end of a conversation and I ain't gonna get in it.
Well, did you hear did you hear the example that I gave about what happened?
No, that's what I'm missing.
Okay, let me tell you. I'm gonna give you the quick version of it. There was a young man. He was going for a job, applying for a job. And let me put this out there in an executive position. Let me make sure I put that part out there in an executive position at this company. He went through the first interview, second interview, third interview. The next interview that he was going to have wasn't an interview at all. It was actually having dinner with the boss. Okay, they went to the restaurant, nice restaurant. He was very impressed. The client was very impressed with the restaurant. He went in talking about how beautiful it is. They sat down, or having conversation, ordered the food. The food came. The boss sit there and looked at him for a second. The food came and the guy said how amazing the food looked. Man, it looks amazing. It looks delicious. It looks amazing. He picked up the salt, picked up the pepper, sprinkled it in the food, stirred it in, and ate it. The boss did not give him a job because he said, I don't want anybody at my company that's going to change something before they taste it and make sure that it's okay. Because of the fact that he added salt and pepper into that food before he tasted it, the boss said, you're not the personality for my company. Was the boss right or wrong, or was that just super petty?
Yeah, that's kind of, well, everybody has their own taste. It's just me. I mean, I guess that's would be a little I guess that he might have been trying to check out to see what that don't make no sense to me. I'm just saying it just don't make no sense to me because I got my own taste. I mean, there are some people automatically. Matter of fact, my wife does that. She cooked the food, seasoned the food, and she put salt and pepper on the table automatically. Before she tastes her food, she asked me, do you want some? I want to see what it tastes like. But that's me. But if somebody else, what she does is she automatically, she didn't know that she seasoned it. And she adds salt and pepper.
Wow.
And I'm like, okay. Now I'll taste it and see if I need something or anything. So I mean, you mean to tell me that you want that's let me say it like this and I'll shut up because that don't make no sense to me.
Mm-hmm.
We live in a petty world. We live in a world where people try to fit everybody in the same box.
Mm-hmm.
And it's actually unfair. But this is the world we're living in. And so that's one reason why I kind of, it just, I'm glad I'm at the age of retirement.
Mm-hmm.
That's stupid to me.
Wow. I'll
leave it like that.
Okay. But it is his right, correct?
That's his right. It's his company.
Mm-hmm.
So you might be losing a valuable employee.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because if let me just say this. If I need somebody to help me, if I'm a wise leader, I listen to somebody, not just dictate the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
If you want help as a leader, you listen. You don't just lay it on the line and say, this is the way it is. I'm leading in this way. And if you can't follow the way that I'm leading, go somewhere else.
Mm-hmm.
That's sad.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Okay. Badger, talk to me, brother. What's on your heart?
I mean, it's kind of like what I was saying earlier. I'm gonna be honest. I'd probably do salt and pepper depending on what it was myself. And if that's what that boss says, I wouldn't want to work for a boss like that to begin with.
Why not?
Because food and job normally don't mix. No.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if I was coming to work at a restaurant, that'd be a different matter. Because I'd want to taste the food without all that stuff. Which is what I normally do.
When you say food and job don't mix, maybe that was a standard that he used to judge as a judgmentation of what kind of personality this is that's sitting at the table with him. And rather he want to bring that type of personality into the company that maybe the company is very successful.
I'm a firm believer you don't mess with a person's food.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why when you brought up the question earlier, I thought you were talking about somebody getting a restaurant job.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're talking about someone just being like an executive at some big company and they were taken to a restaurant, that changes things.
But Badger, I could see, and like I said, I try to look at both sides of the coin and try not to lean on one side or the other. But I could really see what the boss was saying in regards to what he was doing because he wants somebody that's gonna come in. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Don't try to come in and don't try to change it. Don't try to change what it is. And he used it, and he used the food as an example. What type? And it was a judgmental type situation. What kind of personality is this that I'm sitting with? Are you the kind of person that's gonna come in and try to change? And people might say that's so petty. That's so petty. What does food have to do with it? It's not the food. It's the action. What is the action? What are you going to do? Are you gonna come here? Are you gonna taste the food? And if I think had he tasted the food first and said, oh, maybe could use a little salt or maybe could use a little pepper, I think he would have gotten the job. But that's just me talking. Finish your thought, brother.
I don't know if that's true.
Mm-hmm.
I've come across bosses like that before, and notice I said bosses.
Mm-hmm.
I was quite glad they didn't hire me. Because they ended up being very stuck up human beings and not very fun to work for.
Okay.
But I've also been with the ones that go, you changed it. Why? Without even trying it.
Mm-hmm.
And the person, if a person goes, it's habit. Or, I could smell it and I wanted to add something to it. Because people have different senses. You're messing with somebody's food. They ordered food.
But
they know how they like that food.
But my thing is, I don't want us to concentrate so much on the food, but I want to concentrate more on the example of what happened. I don't think even that scenario in the boss's mind had anything to do with the food at all. I think he was looking more at the personality. Zamar, what's on your heart?
I'm trying to say you can't compare it.
Okay.
Okay, but you can compare it because he was using that as that example, right? And I like what Dyson said. He said, are you going to try the job first and then make a suggestion on what needs to be fixed or change to make things better? And I like that, right? So, I mean, that's good, but it's not in this scenario, Badger, like like we keep saying, it's not so much about the food as it is about the action, right? Like my husband and I, we just had a date night on Saturday. We went to there's this little Asian restaurant that we love, and we tried some different things. And for the first time, we had these shrimp dumplings, which, by the way, are amazing. They melt in your mouth. They're so good. But typically with a lot of Asian food, right? Most of the time, what do they put on the table for you? They put soy sauce on there. You put soy sauce on your stuff, right? My husband was the first one to try it. He tried it, and I'm over here and I'm already putting the soy sauce on top of the dumpling. He goes, "No, what are you doing? Don't do that. It's good just the way it is." I was like, "Really?"
Yes, yeah.
So, but then after I ate it with the soy sauce, I was like, "Okay," because it had the lemon too.
Okay.
And I was like, okay, maybe not with the soy sauce. So then I tried another one without it. And I was like, oh my God, this is perfection. But see, I had already done that same thing, like what you're talking about, what this man did. I changed it before I tried it. And it was already perfect the way it was.
Yes. That's good.
So,
That's good.
I'm really on board with the way that the boss did that, because it's, I don't know, like my husband is a boss, right? But he's not a jerk. And he is definitely not in a position where it's like that executive type position. This is a working job, right? He's on the floor with his guys. He's doing the work too. But when he hires people in, he's just a different human being. If he were to go and apply for an executive type position, absolutely he would carry himself differently. He would conduct business differently. If he were hiring somebody in for an executive job, he would look at that from a different point of view, right? But being in the position that he's in, where it's a working position, a working supervisor, working on the floor with his men, he's going to get down and nitty gritty and dirty with them in the same fashion. And he's very plain about it. Look, this is hard work. If you can't do it, we don't need you here.
Yeah. Exactly.
And he'll even show them around the warehouse, show them what's expected of them. These are the sort of tires you're going to be lifting. If you can't do it, you know where the door is. Leave now. No, I can do it. I'm good. I'm fine. They get in there, they work a month, they can't handle it, then they leave.
Yeah.
So I'm really on board with this whole testing method, like what this boss did with what that executive did. Because if there was a way for my husband to test that with hiring these guys in before he hires them, it would probably save him a lot of trouble in the end.
Time and training and everything.
Yes, exactly. Exactly.
There's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Stanley, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Yes, sir. I just think that scenario is not fair to the employee. I would say if you're gonna put him in a situation, maybe in the job that he will be doing, and then judge them or test them on that knowledge. Because you have to look at a lot of people they come from different backgrounds, different environments. So to judge someone in that particular scenario would not be a fair judgment. But if you put them in a situation that's going to be their job, something that they're going to be doing, something that's going to affect your company, progress or decrease or whatever, then I would judge them on that. So, well, no, that's not going to work. You can't do that in my company. I don't want your company changing this or changing that. That may affect the growth, the bottom line. But it's just, I don't think the scenario is set up right for them to say this. Okay, just because you didn't or did something to your food, I'm going to say you are not going to be a good fit for my company. But if you put them in a position that will affect the job that they're going to be doing, or affect the company in a certain way, then you can base it. I would judge them on that. So now you're gonna come in, you're gonna change this and change that. That's a whole different story.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the scenario would be better. You know, if I put you in this office right here, this is what we do. This, you know, okay, are you gonna come in the first day? So this is what we do at this company. You already done. Most people know that before you go to the interview, you always do your research on what the company does.
Yes.
You know, what they've done last year and all that kind of stuff, and how many countries they're in. You know, you do all your background. So you put them in the office and say, this is what we do. And then at the end of the day, you go back and say, if they come to you with 50 ideas on the first day, yeah, you know, if you don't like any of them, and they're going to do something to affect your company in a negative way, I would judge them on that. But just to sit down and say, okay, well, I'm going to judge this man or this woman on the fact that they're adding salt, pepper, whatever to their food before they taste it. That's not a fair scenario, no matter how you look at it. You got to put them in a position where their job is, if it's going to affect your bottom line negatively or positively. And I think that would be a better way to test somebody that is, you know, on that scenario about the food. I don't really agree with the food thing.
Okay. That's
but
good.
The job thing would be, though, situational in the job would be better to test than the food. That's just me personally now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Tucson, what do you say to that?
Did you know, I would say, well, sir, did you taste it to see what it tastes like with salt? Because see, now you're not as an employer, you're not. That's kind of almost closed-minded to the point where you want to say, well, let me see why he's adding salt or whatever it is to see what it tastes like before I just dismiss him from all opportunities to be a help to the company. I mean, right here, I don't know. This one right here.
Is he wrong?
I'm upset already.
What you upset about, man?
I mean, you mean to tell me that we sitting at the table, and I'm because I know how my cook. Well, I can't say myself yet. I know there's women that are okay, and I know people. Instead of them giving you sometimes everything that you need, what they do is go the long way around about talking about nothing to try to say, okay, they say, you got the job, now figure it out. That's stupid.
Yeah.
That's ignorant. That's not my ignorance, because if I'm already beginning at the start of the job, and this is not a bad word, I am already ignorant. It's your job to supply me with the knowledge and the equipment or the things that I need to make my job not only what you want it to be, but to make it better. You always want to be better than what you are. Otherwise, your company either will stay the same or fail.
Wow.
Because I'm just saying.
So you think the boss was wrong?
Why would you have salt on the table? There's a reason why you got salt on the table, sir.
What?
If you don't want it like that,
the timing.
Take the salt out the company.
but I think what we're concentrating on a lot is the timing of it. Had he, like I said earlier, had he tasted the food and stirred it up, tasted it, and said, you know what, maybe it could use a little salt, maybe it could use a little pepper. Hey, can I get some hot sauce, or whatever it is that they want? You know, that I think that's more along the lines of what the boss was looking at, or making his
stupid.
Huh?
I'm sorry. He's stupid.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry for saying that word
Mm-hmm.
because that's kind of like I mean, really, he must be from down south.
Now what the world down south got to do with it? Now hold on now, Tucson. Now I can't let
Hey,
you.
hey, don't start talking about down south.
I've been down south all my life, and I know, brother. If you down south, you know how they operate.
Mm-hmm.
Come on now, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Not all though. Not all.
Exactly. Let me go to
Now look, hey, wait a minute now.
Mm-hmm.
Now here's another thing. I'm from Louisiana.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're gonna add something to spicy food. You might think that's crazy,
Mm-hmm.
but automatically they say we put hot sauce on cake.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And sometimes
Automatically.
sometimes you do popcorn and all
Sure
kind of
do.
stuff. Yes, sir. But see,
Yeah.
I think we're concentrating more on. I don't think we concentrate on the idea of where he was coming from when he when he did it or when he made this stuff. Maybe that's the reason why he wanted to have the dinner. Maybe because this was the last step before he got the job. Executive position, making decisions in this man's company. And so maybe maybe he's looking for a certain personality, a person that's gonna come in and go with the flow first before he try to disrupt the waters. And
puppet.
so not necessarily a puppet. I wouldn't say that either. I wouldn't say puppet. I would say that, when you go into a situation, you go into a room. When you walk into a room, don't try to change the atmosphere in the room. See if the atmosphere conducive to what you want or what it needs to be before you try to change the atmosphere.
Here's another thing.
Mm-hmm.
You do, when you enter the room, when you enter a room,
yes,
if you can't change the atmosphere by your presence, something is wrong with you.
What if the atmosphere don't need to be changed though?
You add to the environment, right?
Mm-hmm. That's good. Good.
You're an addition to the environment.
Mm-hmm.
So did you ever see a woman in a red dress come in the room?
Yeah.
Boom, there it is.
Oh Lord, see, you done took a turn on me. Let me go to Rico. Rico, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
No, I can't complain, man. I was out here enjoying another beautiful new day, man.
Hey, good to have you, brother. Good to have you. You been listening this morning?
Yeah, I've been trying to hang in.
Okay. What do you think, man? Was the boss right or wrong? What do you think about that?
I mean, he did what you're supposed to do. If you hire anybody, you bringing them in to, find out how to work in your system.
Mm-hmm.
And, you want them, there are things you ran a certain way. You already been affiliated in this business, so you know what expectation and outcome you're looking for.
Mm-hmm.
It's best to just come in and do everything by the way that they tell you to do it until you get comfortable enough to where you understand that your opinion matters, or you can actually get an understanding to show what they're doing can be done in a better way.
Mm-hmm.
But you have to feel yourself out first, you know what I'm saying? You just can't jump off until they're coming right in the door and say, oh, I see what's wrong around here.
Mm-hmm.
I don't work in this business before.
Mm-hmm.
I do this type of stuff. Yeah, that's the way they might have did it in the other places you've been to. But I'm the boss over here, and this is the way I want it done.
Yeah. And so
I think it's automatic that you should know to go into a situation like that, trying to fit into a puzzle that already exists.
Mm-hmm.
You just want to be that piece that they could put in to fill in that spot that's missing.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. We concentrating a lot on the salt and the pepper, but I think it's much larger than just the salt and the pepper, Rico. I think it's more or less a personality type situation, and he wanted a certain individual in his company. Now, somebody said that he wanted somebody that's a puppet or something like that. I don't necessarily even think that it's a puppet. I think that he wants somebody that's going to come in and that's going to fit into the equation and help assist in moving the company forward without trying to check it out first. Taste the food first. And when I say taste the food, I'm talking about the environment of the company. I'm using the food as an example of the company. Taste the food first. And if the food is good, then eat it. Enjoy it. But if it needs something, then add it. What do you say to that, Rico?
Well, that goes back to what I was saying. Sometimes the puzzle is already there, but somebody lost a piece.
Yeah.
So they just need a replacement to fit that perfect piece of the puzzle to make the puzzle complete again. You might have to call the company and get that replacement, but that piece needs to be the exact cut of the piece that you lost. But that puzzle still ain't gonna be right. You might well throw the whole thing away. So you need that piece to the puzzle to work. That person that knows the procedure of that particular company. You know, it may be different in that environment because they started a different type of trend, and the customer, the base consumer base actually, you know, has adapted to that trend.
Yes.
You know, have you ever been to a restaurant where you see that they eat peanuts and throw the shells and everything on the floor?
Yeah. Yeah.
That is like bad housekeeping. I wouldn't bought up to eat my food and throw the excrement or the trash on the floor. So when I went to these certain restaurants where you could do that, man, I found myself doing it, but at the same time feeling uncomfortable. But I saw that was the customer of that restaurant. I just throw them on the floor. I'm like, what? Throw it on the floor? I started doing it.
Yeah.
But that was the way that restaurant worked. And guess what? The people that worked there had to learn that they had to go around there and sweep up peanut holes that probably was unnecessary had they just told people to not throw stuff on the floor.
Yep.
But just think that is the concept of that restaurant, to be able to eat free peanuts and throw the shells on the floor. Don't matter, don't bother. So I mean, you know, it's they created an atmosphere and a trend in that culture. Maybe it is because of the season, whatever it is. But you have to stick to that formula. You have to stick to that. You have to stick to that formula, or you know, get in there and fit in good and understand. I mean, you might not even understand. You might go, "Hey, this is weird," but this is what they do. But after a while, you still can start finding certain things where you know, okay, this can probably be improved, and they won't mind if I mention this. But this right here, I won't touch.
Yeah,
they're gonna throw them peanut shells on the floor, and it ain't no need of me even bringing up how nasty, unkempt that is for customers to do it. No disrespect. This is their custom. This is their culture. So
Exactly.
you know, you have to just go in knowing what the agenda is and what their trademark is or whatever, and go with the flow.
Good deal. Good deal. Good morning, Mr. Hicks. How you doing this morning, sir? Mr. Hicks.
Good morning. Good morning, Raheem. Good morning, Gold family. Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Good to have you with us. You been listening this morning?
I caught some of the answers, but I don't know the initial incident that everyone's responding to.
Okay, let me give you the quick version of it. There's a young man who was going for an executive position job, a job in a high executive position. He went through the first, second, and third interview. The fourth interview was to have lunch or dinner with the boss. They went into the restaurant, and the boss was there, and he was so impressed with the restaurant. Beautiful place, beautiful. Went in, they sat down, and they had a great conversation, and the food came. The food came, and the man, he looked at the food, said how amazing the food looked, smells delicious, it looks amazing. He reached out, got salt, put salt on it, reached out, got some pepper, put some pepper on it, stirred it in there, and ate the food. Boss said he didn't get the job because he didn't want that type of personality in his company. He said had the man tasted the food first before he tried to change it, he would have been okay. But he changed the food before he even tasted it, and the boss didn't want that type of personality in his company. Was the boss right, wrong, or was that just petty?
Oh, right and wrong. I don't know. Right and wrong is sort of flexible. That depends on people's perspective. I mean, legal. When you say legal and illegal, it's sort of like what a bunch of people agreed on. I think that when you're in business, you have the latitude to make those kind of choices. I think it's petty, though. I think it's petty. It's petty to look at a person and judge the whole being by one thing from your perception you're making a judgment on. But it's better as far as a corporate company, it's better not to be at that one, because if he's looking for the judgment, that's showing you something about how their management style, how they treat their people, how they think of their people. But that's petty.
Okay.
That's
okay. So you wouldn't want to work for that company?
No, I wouldn't work for them. No. They're gonna that same character trait gonna show up in other areas. That's either business model or psychological model, but that's how they run things. He's the boss, and he's making those kind of, You know, some people get in business to make money, but most people get in business just to be the boss.
Wow. That's good. That's good.
That's why so many new business starts fail. Just to be the boss, just to boss somebody, to be the boss over somebody. Wow. I became an entrepreneur real early on. Had a good job, worked for the state, and they got a bunch of rules and regulations and those same kind of things. When the administration shift, they get new politicians and everything. The whole system shift.
Yeah.
And I just been opposed to anybody ruling over me. I'll leave. I leave. So I've left a bunch of good jobs. I left them because I didn't have a real impulse control, and I wanted to smack them side their head. So I wanted to put a punch on them. Make it easy.
Behind your back, sir. Sure.
Make it easy for the next person coming along.
Good deal. Zamari, what's on your heart? Stanley, coming to you next.
I'm kind of with Mr. Hicks when it comes to that. That's one of the reasons why I don't work, is because I do not have, I guess you could say, good self-control to not want to smack somebody upside the head. So, but I'm the same way, right? You know, like I think the same way. I'm sorry. I still have the same opinion about this man, the boss, doing what he did with the food, because like I said, I've heard of these situations before where bosses who are hiring in executives or other people in high positions where they do these things. And, you know, people are saying, you know, well, you can't equate that into their work ethic. Well, you kind of can, right? Because if you're watching somebody sit there and let's just say they're completely manhandling their food, and they're being sloppy with the way that they're eating, and they're really not taking any care to wipe their mouth or make sure that their clothes aren't getting messy. I, as a boss, yes, I would definitely look at that and go, well, if you can't even manage yourself while you're eating, what are you going to do with my company? What are you going to do in this position? Right? You know, so I again, it's an example of how, when they're coming into the company, how are they going to represent that company? What are they going to do? What are they going to try to change or not change? Or are they going to handle business sloppy? They can't manage themselves like that, you know? So I think there is a lot to be learned from the way someone does, you know, their normal etiquettes in general. Now, if the salt and pepper thing, like, I get it. Like I said, I get it. But I don't know that I don't know. If I had that mentality, I can't say I wouldn't do the same. I think I would. I just think I would, because you're not just protecting your investment, your company, right? You're protecting so much more than just that, because there's all these other people that you have in your business that are relying on you.
Let me ask you this, and like I said, I'm trying to stay on a neutral ground here, but let me ask you this: if this person has gone through 3 interviews already, they've gone through 3 interviews, and the last step is to have this dinner. Evidently, 3 of those interviews went very well. And there was something good about this person, that they had the first interview, then they had the second interview. Something must have been good about that interview. Now they had the 3rd interview. Now they're to the point where, you know, they're going to go and allow this person to have dinner with the owner of the company. This person has to have some good qualities have to be in this person. And like I said, I like to try to deal with both sides of the coin. And for the person to make it through 3 interviews, something was good about this person. Something was good about their personality and their history, and something was good to make it to this point. Is that salt and pepper enough to disregard all of that?
Okay, so the boss may have said, hey, I want you to interview this person. Okay, then I want you over here to interview this person. They make it past those, then I want to interview them. It might have been like that gauntlet, right? Like you deal with it on this end, you deal with it on this end, and then I will make the final judgment call. He's the boss. He has the right to do that. That's his prerogative to do that. So, I mean, it could have been set up that way. And yes, he very well may have had amazing qualities, right? But let's look at the other side of this too. Now that gentleman who did not get this particular position has a better understanding of what he really wants. Because now he knows, right, what kind of company or what kind of people maybe he doesn't want to work for. Maybe that's too rigorous of a detail or whatever. He doesn't want to deal with that. So now we can either say he's going to be angry and never hold another executive position ever again because he's got that going on, right? Or he can move on, learn from it, and become better for it and find a position that better suits him. So maybe on the other scope of it, maybe it was better for him that he didn't get that position based on that. Maybe that wasn't a good fit for him.
Okay. That's good. Stanley, what did you say to that? Because, if the man has made it through the first 3 interviews, something good had to be about him. So what do you say about that part? Rico, coming to you next.
Yeah, and as we were saying earlier, man, good leaders create what?
Good followers.
No, good leaders create other good leaders.
Oh, okay.
Well, he was
good followers,
He was trying to be another follower. Anybody can follow, everybody can lead. So, like I said earlier, I think if he made it through those first interviews, he should have put him in a scenario dealing with the job to see if he would change anything on the job. And like the lady was saying before me, as far as sloppy food, yeah, if somebody eats sloppy and handle themselves sloppy, they come to an interview sloppy and all that. That's a totally different situation than just adding a little salt and pepper. They come in sloppy and eating the food all in their mustache and crumbs all over the table. Yeah, that's a different situation.
Yeah.
But if he's gotten past those other interviews, and then he's gonna say, I'm not going to hire you because of this adding salt before tasting your food, that doesn't necessarily mean he has a bad habit. That's just his habit. That's just how he grew up and the environment he came out of. But I will put him in a situation of the job. I'm going to put you in this office or put you with this person and see if you're going to try to change what this person has been doing that's been successful in my company. Like I said, if he made it past the other interviews, something had to be seen in him that could add value to that company.
Exactly. That's good too. That's good. I'm gonna read something. Hold on for a second here. And LT Dyson, you can definitely be a part of the conversation. Just give us a call at 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. LT said, it's like a car. It looks good. It sounds good. Passes all the safety inspections. It has everything you want. Then you get it to test, get to a test drive, and it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel right. I'm sorry. Would you still buy it? Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
No, I wouldn't still buy it, man. But I mean, honestly, man, like the scenario that you brought up, if I had approached it in real life, I wouldn't have spent this long on it. You know what I'm saying? It wouldn't have been that long for me to even concern myself with it. I mean, so you could, really just listening to it, you could probably go to the next person because it ain't nothing else really I could hear that need to be said. I mean, you could go back and forth about the same thing over and over and try to make an issue out of it, but it is what it is.
Tucson, talk to me, brother.
Thank you for your time, sir. Appreciate it. I'll let you.
Now, who's saying that, the boss or the employee?
That's me. Yes, sir. That's what I would do. That's it. Because now, and I know that sometimes life is a test that you don't know what type of test. It's kind of like these ACT tests. Okay, I think that's what you call it. I ain't took it in so long. But if you take an ACT test for, and you just say, okay, I'm gonna give it to, no matter where the students are, I'm gonna give them the same test. Well, the problem with that is cultures and environment that they grew up is a factor in the knowledge that they have.
Mm-hmm.
So if you just give it all across the board, guess what? Some people that develop the test versus the people that are taking the test come from different environments. So it's automatic failure.
Mm-hmm.
So can you imagine how many people gonna sit at their table and go to the first two or three interviews, and then sit before the one that has some people are thinkers.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're really detailed in their thoughts. And some people, when I go to and I order, for instance, if I order a steak, some people don't eat steak. Don't get mad at me. So that's you. That's not me. They say, do you want some what you call it, Worcestershire sauce or something like that? No, I want to taste the steak.
Mm-hmm.
That's me.
Yeah.
I want to taste the steak like you brought it to me.
Mm-hmm.
So that I would know how your steak tastes. That's what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Same way when at the house. I know the salt and the pepper on the table, but I'm gonna taste the food first. That's what I'm gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
That's
Okay.
just me. So maybe you know what, Raheem, I got the job.
Mm-hmm.
I would have got the job.
Yeah.
Because I want to taste the food first.
Yeah. You would have got the job. Absolutely.
I would have got the job.
Mm-hmm.
But then, suppose, even though I taste it, after I taste it, I add salt and pepper. Now we got another scenario.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You may say, well, you don't like the way we cook our food, so you're not qualified for the job.
Mm.
Is that where we're going?
Man, y'all can't cook.
Because I said, well, I add, okay, can I have a little sauce?
Mm-hmm.
Can I have some steak sauce, please? Well, you must not like the way that we cook our food, so you're not qualified. Is that where we're going?
Mm.
Because I tasted it.
Yeah. And it wasn't
I
to my
don't like
liking.
the taste of it.
Yeah. Wasn't to my liking. Yeah. Exactly.
I'm from this. I'm going to say this again. I'm from the South.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to add. I promise you. I'm going to add something to it.
Mm-hmm.
Now, my doctor might not agree with the way I eat, but I sure do.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
Just thought about that.
That's good. Badger, what's on your heart, brother? Talk to me.
Pretty much similar to Donald and
Stanley?
oh yeah, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Comments.
Mm-hmm.
That's a really weird way to test somebody, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Especially if that's not the first interview.
Mm-hmm.
But
Mm-hmm.
that's me.
Okay.
And go ahead.
No.
I
was ready. Actually, I thought you were done. I was ready to go to Mr. Hicks. But go ahead, finish your thought, brother.
That's what I was trying to say earlier. It's
Mm-hmm.
the same thing they were saying. Just because the way a person eats doesn't mean that's their whole character.
Mm.
You can't judge people off of just one thing. Now, there's certain behaviors and the way they would interact with a human being would be a whole nother story. Because the way they may interact with a homeless person, why not, instead of taking them out to eat at a fancy restaurant, why don't you go take them out on a walk and see how they interact with homeless people?
That wasn't his standard, Badger.
To me, that shows so much more in a human's character than how they're gonna eat a plate of food.
Okay. Mr. Hicks.
Oh, yes, sir. I guess I want to make an adjustment, right?
Okay.
When I was a therapist as a social worker, working those juveniles back there, way back in the day, I would interview these kids inside prison. I would go inside the juvenile facilities. I would go to the facilities, and there were certain things that I look for in the personality and how it would fit with the other people I selected for this group.
Mm-hmm.
It was a small group, and it was a certain profile that I was looking for, and a lot of it was intuition,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of times it do be little. I did make a judgment.
Okay.
I did make a judgment whether I was going to let this person join the program based off certain things that he did or said in the interview.
Mm-hmm.
So in a corporate environment, I guess if you got a brand and you're trying to stick to the brand,
yes,
and you don't want to
deviate from that. Mm-hmm.
You want the culture, because when you start a group, you build a group and you build a culture with the first group, and they would pass this culture on to the next group. So by the time I had ran 6 groups, there was a culture already established where the hard work was already done for me, because they would come in and the other group members would familiarize them with how things go and what the expectation was. So I can see making that, but at the same time, it's obvious. Maybe I made a lot of mistakes too, making those snap judgments. But that's part of recruiting. That's part of the process. If you want to keep a brand or keep a culture going.
Yeah.
So I backstep, but I do that a lot. I'm
That's
flexible. Well, that's life. I'm never. As soon as I find myself sitting on a solid point and defending my ground, more information coming. I say, oh man, now I got a choice. I'm not going to go with the same information. I'm not going to make the change.
Mm-hmm.
But,
so that's good.
I changed my mind.
And that's a good thing.
I wouldn't slap.
You wouldn't slap. I got you. Let me go to Zamara. Then we're gonna change up on the topic a little bit. Zamara, what's on your heart?
I thought of another situation that you could equate it to that maybe would be a little more fitting.
Mm-hmm.
What if let's just say any one of us are applying for this same job. We get asked to dinner by the boss, and he tells you can order anything on the menu that you want.
Mm-hmm.
Do you order the most expensive thing?
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I mean, because he's going to look at that, right? He's still going to make a judgment call based on what you're ordering.
Mm-hmm.
So do you order the most expensive thing? Are you modest about what you order? Do you order the cheapest thing?
Mm-hmm.
What would you do?
I would probably go mid-grade. I would probably go mid-grade. I wouldn't get the most expensive, but I certainly wouldn't get the cheapest, and probably find something right there in the middle that's to my liking, and going that route. That's a totally different thought, though. That's a totally different thought. Anybody have anything else they want to say on this before we move on to something else? Okay, good.
Well, I can sort of get it because you have this this thing where you have to understand that if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yes.
So if you're coming into a situation that's already successful and you looking to be a part of that situation, maybe you need to come in and just get on board and go with the flow. Now that will, I was glad that he did that because it shows you that there are different scenarios where the answer would change, where it would be beneficial for you to go in and leave or stay and be a part of it and understand, hey, this train already rolling. You want to be a part of this? If it's already successful, you know what I'm saying? What can you come in and do immediately talking about needs to be better? Maybe you need to come in and work for a little while and understand why we haven't already gone in that direction. We already thought about that.
Yeah.
It won't work. So, you have to understand that, the ball is already rolling. Sometimes you just got to jump on it and hang on, but now there are some situations where you might go into a job and you see that they got you doing some stupid stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, well, wait a minute, man. Y'all got me doing this, and then I'm going back repeating this step. When really and truly, I can kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And after you work that long enough, you might go ahead and conform. You might say, well, I'm going to go ahead and do this because this is the system in place. This is what's been working for them. Before I got here, they was already doing this. But after a while, I started saying, wait a minute, man, this don't make no sense. I might go ahead and start doing it on my own, but I got to make sure that I got my bed made good enough. You get what I'm saying? I got to make sure that my feet are solidly on the ground before I start doing things like that and then making suggestions. You know, normally that's when you start working your way up through the ranks. I mean, you know, I know you said this was an executive position, you know, but you have to work your way into this person's good graces where they could trust your opinion, and they can also see that you bring another value that you didn't even expect.
Exactly.
You know, oh man, I didn't even pay attention to that. I'm glad you caught that. That's a good idea. You know, you have to find a way to bring that to the table, and at the same time, not disrupt the ego of that owner.
Exactly. That's good. That's good. And a lot of times that's what it bears down to, ego. You know, it's my company, do it my way, or you just won't be here. You just won't be here. If you can't, you know, don't come here trying to change nothing. I've been doing it like this. We've been doing this like this for years. We don't need you coming here. We giving you a job. Do the job we hiring you to do, and this is what the job is. Can you do it? And that's a lot of times that's what it falls down to. Is that right? I don't think that's right, but it is what it is. Stanley, you have anything you want to say before we move on?
Right. You know, I did that. I've been in a place for, I guess, about 6 or 7 months now. And I guess I'm in the leadership position. And I ain't changed nothing yet.
Yeah.
And I don't intend to. Not now. Not yet. I'm gonna keep it rolling just like it is. But best believe I'm watching.
Exactly.
Pay close attention to every little detail, even if a person's not in charge of anything. I'm looking for leadership.
Yeah.
You hear what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But it's not a critical thing that I'm doing. I'm just watching, seeing what's working, what's not working. But I ain't changing nothing. And I'm gonna leave it like that for a while.
Exactly.
I can bring in my little ideas, but you know what I'm gonna get? Feedback.
Yeah.
Some of it's negative. I see a lot of people in that type of position. They go in headstrong and they don't last long.
Yep. Exactly. Stanley, did you have anything you want to say before we move on? Stanley?
Nah, let's move on.
Okay. Zamari? I saw your hand up just now.
I was just agreeing with what he said. I was just, like that's amazing. He's watching for leadership. And that's how my husband ended up in the position that he is in, being a supervisor, because the supervisor before him was watching the floor, right? And noticed that leadership in my husband and was looking for someone to replace him because he was going to another warehouse. And so he pulled my husband to the side, took him under his wing, and taught him everything that he needed to learn and know about being in that position so that he could take over that position. So I love that. Because that's what you're supposed to do, right? When you are a good leader, when you're a good boss, that's what you do. You look for people that have that skill set, that ability to lead others well. So I love that. I love that.
Good deal. Toy, you want to say good morning? How you doing this morning? Toy, you want to tea?
I'm sorry. A yarn was coming out at the same time. I was trying to say good morning. I apologize. Good morning, y'all. How y'all doing?
Hey, doing good. You came in on the tail end. We're going to change the topic, but you're going to be at the top of this topic right here. And this is what it is. Toy, I'm gonna start off with you. I was on TikTok over the weekend, and I came across this thing. This person posted something that I found very interesting. Never really looked at it before, but he was saying that the system that we have right now in regards to our children is backwards. And so when he said that, kind of spoke my attention. I'm like, what is he talking about? What is he about to say? He said that a lot of times what happens is when two people get together and they have kids. Now, this is his idea. I want to hear what y'all feel about this. He said if it's a little girl, that the system should give her to the mother if they split up. But on the other side, he said that if it's a little boy, that the system, instead of automatically just giving the son to the mother, she'll give the son to the father.
Right.
And let the father raise the little boys. He said, but the way the system is set up with the child support and all this thing, everything is geared toward the mother. He said this whole system is mother driven.
Yeah.
And the fathers get no compassion and no love, no consideration at all.
Right.
Tori, what do you think about that?
No, I agree. Totally true. A woman cannot raise a man, especially in Georgia. I mean, we could raise a man, but we can't raise a man as a man. We still raising him as a woman. So we're gonna miss a lot of stuff. Like teaching them how to use the bathroom.
Yeah. Yeah.
Of them little things get to tangling, what you're supposed to do. We don't know what you're supposed to do. You understand what I'm saying? So I get it, but it's a couple of things that are where I have to go. And again, sorry, white people. I'm sorry. I have to go here and call this out. Okay, I don't know what goes on in your household, but in our households, we do have a tendency. So the system was geared to divide our families in particular. And it was geared to remove the fathers out of our homes. Okay. So now when it comes to in our community, us having the fathers in the home, I think now it's geared towards the women because first of all, we are the weakest out of the two. And then because they come with checks, right? Money, affordable housing, food stamps, you just get stuff. You know what I'm saying? When you're the mother with the children. So now that's the second part of the system. So he is right by what he say, right? This is something I learned that my daddy taught me about, kids and, the father should have the child, but our system is so driven economically against us, people of color. Again, I don't know if they do white people like this. I don't know. I've heard 7 stories out of 270 million white people. I done heard 7 stories of something happening that like how they built the system for us. You understand what I'm saying? So I think from Black perspective, the reason why they do this is to contribute to the breakdown of our men and our households. And that's why they bait our women with monies and checks and housing and things like that. But no, that's absolutely right. The mother should keep the daughter and the father should do the son. And I think we should be created equally. But again, when it comes to the system and Black people, we already know it's systematically set up to divide us, period, from the beginning. So, you know what I mean? We should expect that. But again, I don't know if that's what happens if you have two, a husband and a wife that's not of Black descent. You know what I'm saying? And when they go to court, if they're gonna do them the same way, I don't know if that happens like that.
Wow. Stanley, what do you say to that? And thanks for that, Tori. I definitely appreciate it. Stanley, what's on your heart, brother? Does he have a point? We know the system is set up mainly for the woman, and that's what it is. It's always been that way. But if it's a female, should the mother get the female? And if it's a little boy, should the system take some consideration and give that son to the father?
Yeah, they should, but we know they're not because the system is set up for Black men to fail. And that's just being honest, back in the 60s. That's when they start creating the welfare and all this other stuff. We'll give you a place to stay. We'll give you a check every month. We'll give you food stamps every month. We'll give you health care. But the man can't be a part of your life. You have a lot of women that live on government assistance and these projects. It's been generational. They have sneak men in and out. But, so the woman should have her daughter. The man should have his son. But they're all out effort for them to kind of come together. I went through valuable years of my boy's life, but it's just set up for us to fail. If you go back and look at when they had the trades in the high schools, when they would teach you how to be an electrician, they would teach you how to be a carpenter, they would teach you how to do all this stuff in school, and the Black families were thriving, and middle class was good for us back then. Then they took all that stuff out of the high schools. They don't have trade schools like they used to have. You know, my trade school here, auto body, they used to teach mechanics, they would teach transmission. They don't even do that stuff down here no more.
Yeah.
It's set up and you get in that, spend 50 years trying to pay off a student loan. You're in debt all your life. You know, you never really catch up. You know, you may have a great job paying $200,000 a year, but then you still paying all this student loan because the interest is killing you. So, and I say it all the time, and I think you and I have had this discussion before, a woman cannot raise a boy into a man. It takes a man to teach a boy how to be a man. You know, women do a good job, they do the best they can, but they only can do what they know. So the boys need to be with their dad or dad-like figure, but it needs to be a male in their life. Because a male can teach a male how to be a male. And I don't have anything against anybody, but that's another thing that bothers me about gay people. Gay black men don't realize that they're setting us back 200 years. It goes all the way back to the buck breaking. They don't realize how bad that is for us as black men. We already have, you know, 2 strikes against us. Then you do something like that, I don't get it. But yeah, the boy should be with the man and the girl should be with the woman.
Exactly. 508-924-3521. Phone lines are open. 508-924-3521. Tucson, what do you say to that, man? Should the boy be, should the system have some consideration and give the sons to the fathers, or is the system like the system is set up just toward the woman, and the woman's gonna be the one to get the benefits? Ms. Hicks, come to you next. Tucson.
I keep the system out of my family.
Can't hear you, Tucson.
Can you hear me now?
We can hear you, but it's very muffled.
Okay, how about that?
Yeah, there you go. Now you're cooking with grease.
Okay. I keep the system out of my family.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care. I don't care from separation to divorce or whatever the case. I keep them out of my family. Period.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I do. I don't care nothing about, don't talk about their broken home, all that kind of stuff. I stay in touch with my children. That's it.
Mm-hmm.
I ain't got to worry about the system. I don't have to worry about them coming to me talking about what you got to do. No, I'm going to do that. I fix that. Because I don't think that the system should be, because they dictate. You got stipulations on whether you can be in the system or not. You got to fit something to be in the system. And the system has a design. And one thing about the system is they don't want the father. The father sometimes can't be in the house. That's the first problem.
Mm-hmm.
That's a problem. That's a problem. How can you fix something with something that's broken? And the system is broken. I'm just saying. It has a design to it. You have to not make a certain amount of money to be in the system.
Mm-hmm.
So that says, first of all, you can't have a good income.
Yeah.
To be in the system.
Mm-hmm.
No, you toe up then. You can't have a husband and a wife in the same household to be in the system.
Yeah. Yeah.
I remember I'm the last of 12 children, and because my dad worked, he had a certain income, we didn't qualify for food stamp.
Mm-hmm.
What?
Mm-hmm.
What you say?
Wow.
So, and I ain't never seen my mama go to work. Never.
Mm-hmm.
But we couldn't be in the system because you know what? Dad took care of the house.
Yeah.
That's how you fix that.
Mm-hmm.
Myself, I mean, my sons and my daughter knows. I don't care what went on. I'm staying. I don't care what they say. I don't care. I hear what you say. They say about no. But look, if you need anything, call me.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm. And then we talk about stepchildren. I'm a child. No such a thing. No such a thing.
Mm-hmm.
If you are involved with the woman or the man, it should be your children.
Yeah.
Take care of all of them.
Exactly.
That way you don't have to worry about who paying child support to that child.
Mm-hmm.
You do it.
Mm-hmm. 508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. The phone line's open. Give us a call. We're talking about the system right now. The system, the way the system is set up, right now is geared more towards the woman. But a question was asked, and what should, if it's a young lady, it's a little girl, should she be given to a mother? But if it's a boy, should he be given to should the system give the boy to the father for the father to raise? 508-924-3521. Mr. Hicks, coming to you, Rico, and I'm going to Cassandra. Mr. Hicks, what's on your heart? What do you say about that? Is the system, the way it's set up, is it wrong?
Oh yeah, the system is doing what it's designed to do. I think over the centuries that it's been designed to break up the family. You know, I think that, but answering specific to that question, I think it should go to whoever's better equipped to handle the children. And you can check that who's working, who's on drugs, who's you have to it's a band-aid, trying to fix a problem, but you have to find out who's better equipped to do that, to handle the children. You can do that within the system. But when they changed the divorce laws to no contest, and when they allowed the women to enter the workforce, which is double income tax, which left the kids to be educated by a system and people and from the offset, this whole, I guess I have to get spiritual. The instruction of the human being and this civilization and all that we've gotten from it, with all the flaws that we've gotten from Western, going back to all the ancients and all that stuff. Everything we got now is why we're talking and looking at each other. We got lights, we got traffic lights that work. There are a group of people from the beginning that want the power to control people, that they have the authority, the lord over people. So the whole battle is, if you destroy the family, initially it started out being a black thing, but at the same time, it's enough to show how many other people that was on getting food stamps. So even in terms of the crimes that initially happened in our communities expand now. They happen all over the place, even in other countries. It's supported by the hip hop culture. So I'm saying I recognize that there's a spiritual battle going on.
Yes.
And even when I look at this, I try to, I got a guy staying with me. Somebody put him out on the street. I saw him walking on the street. My son saw him walking on the street, and young kid, despondent. His head down. He didn't figure out what he's going to do. My son brought him home, and he's been here, and dealing with his childhood, dealing with the foster parents and being sexually molested and on your own. And there's so many struggles that we have, and it's not just. When you really open your view, it's not a white-black thing. It's a soul thing. It's trying to get. But yeah, I think whoever's better equipped to raise the children should get it.
Exactly. Rico, what's on your heart, brother? Is the system set up wrong? Should it be a situation whereas if it's a young lady, a little girl, she go to the mother, and if it's a little boy, he go to the dad? Or is the system just set up so strongly toward the woman that we don't even get a second thought?
Man, we know what it is. We already know exactly what it is. You know what I'm saying? I think the bigger issue is getting women to understand that the system is broken. You remember on the last topic, I said if it ain't broke, don't fix it.
Yes, sir.
It is here broke. So you can hear a lot of women complaining about these young boys and some of these young girls. They complaining. Even though they're doing challenges with them, it's still a lot of stuff they complaining about. Something ain't right. Something is broken. But they ain't fixing to say it needs to be fixed when they getting that child support and that alimony and all these benefits, Section 8, and all these little subsidies that people get. So I think about that movie Blue Lagoon. I saw that movie when I was real young, and to me, I was able to understand that was pretty much the way they was trying to describe an Adam and Eve situation. And in that situation, they ended up discovering how to make a baby. But even before then, that boy had to learn how to do man things And Brooke Shields, the girl, had to learn how to do feminine things. It was something she just couldn't do.
Yeah.
That he could. Crack open a coconut.
Mm-hmm.
There was so many different things that he did to help her learn to survive that she couldn't do. And this was just from natural order. And then that baby came along. She had certain things she had to figure out to do to help the baby survive because he didn't have a clue.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then he had to figure out what his part was.
Mm-hmm.
And that, to me, shows you the natural order of what's important for a child to be able to continue this process. That's the order. But then, like Donald said, you have a judicial or a family court system or a system, period, a government that come in and say, well, we'll help you, but take that man away from them children.
Yeah.
And they'll let you know right from the very, very beginning then what the plot was.
Mm-hmm.
So the problem was getting people to turn down the benefits, the rewards of taking that man out the house, the sacrifice they made. Because in this system that we live in, we have to have resources and we have to have, things that we need to survive. Not only just things that we need, but a lot of things that we want. And we don't think we could do without. And they offer you these little extra benefits and you sacrifice that man. So the thing is getting women nowadays to understand that now. Is it a guarantee that man will be the best father for their son? No, he might be a piece of trash and she might be the best, the best for him.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be some evaluation. I suggest taking it out of the court system where it costs and just put it in back in the DCF hands and let mediation take place. And then it goes to a judge to make the determination after the mediators come to an agreement with the parents. That way, if you have a mediation and you see that there is one parent over a certain amount of time that's just uncooperative, unstable, mentally abusive, you can be able to tell over a length of time and say, you know what? I think the little girl need to go with the daddy too.
Wow. Wow. That's good. That's good.
See, because they make it, they do it so quick and easy, not understanding just how important the impact is of these decisions that you're making of who you give the child custody, who you give custody of the child to.
Mm-hmm.
They just give you, well, hell with what you mean. The mama just be there just because she a mama.
Mm-hmm.
I've seen stray dogs raise their puppies better than a lot of these mamas in the last 20 years. But you get in that courtroom and that judge only think about the benefit of the child and that mother, that good mother that's assumed to be a good mother. So now the whole system needs to be fixed, man. But like everybody been saying before now, it's actually designed to do what it was meant to do. Now, with us saying this, we have to get our sisters to stop participating in it. That way they'll stop getting the funding, and then something else will have to change in the process, because a lot of people are very quick to want to go through that court system.
Yeah. Rico, let me ask you this question.
I'm in a situation where I didn't have a choice but to go. I had to go to the court system just to get visitation.
Okay. Rico, let me jump in for a second. Rico, let me jump in for a second, because there's somebody that's listening to us right now that's have this question in their mind. They say, well, you say to take the women off the system and they're not getting the money. What are we going to do? We replenish the money or the benefits that they're getting. What are we going to do to replenish those benefits?
Replenish the benefit? What you mean? Replenish the child support?
The child support.
Well, to be honest, what happened is, man, it'll cause people to start making better decisions on, first off, having responsible sex, and then choosing who they having it with.
Okay.
You see, this is all still based on decisions that people make. It's one thing to get caught up in the system and then just start saying, well, I can get child support, but still at the same time, is it normal for people to continue having children with people they don't get along with, and then all of a sudden when they split up, you don't want the dad in his life? Now, if he's a bad guy, that's different. Some people touch their children. I can understand that. But when you're doing things out of spite, or you just don't want to cooperate, or you want to keep your personal disagreements, put them first instead of the child first, then you have a problem. But see, that lets me know that somewhat people don't understand just how important that foundation of that unity is. the father, the mother, and the child.
Exactly.
So I mean, if you understand how important that is, then you probably would even be more careful about who you create life with.
That's good. That's good. Cassandra, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning.
Cassandra, how do you feel about what we're talking about? Is the system wrong in how it's set up? If it's a little girl, should the system give the little girl to the mother, or if it's a little boy? And some people say that a woman can't raise a boy to be a man. I don't know how I feel about that. But should the system give the little boy to the father, or is the system just so geared toward the mother that men really don't get a fair chance?
Yeah, well, before the system ever comes into play, you have 66 to 67% of households being run by single mothers in the Black community. 66 to 60, and this is without the system having anything to do with it. So where are the men? Why are they not a part of and I'm not talking about people like Rico and the men, that 30-something% that are involved with their children I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about where the hell, and I'm gonna use the term, where the hell are the men that there are 66 to 67% of women-led households. And so, yeah, okay, you can say, well, the women put them out, they didn't like them, they got mad. We can use all of those excuses, but the bottom line is, I have 2 adult children in their 40s right now that I pleaded with their fathers to have a part in their life. Him and I, both of them had no disagreements. It just happened. Everybody went their own way. But my thing, I didn't want anything from them. I told them, I don't care if you don't even pay child support. And guess what? Neither one of them ever did. I took care and raised my children. And all I asked from them, spend time with your child. That they need you, because I grew up without my father. I knew how important that was. So, other than people like Rico who fight for their children, a lot of these men in foster care system for years, and in those, the court asked if the fathers give them that opportunity to get those children if something goes down. Do you know that most men will not take their own damn children? Excuse my language. I'm done.
Cassandra, you go over in that corner, got a special corner with some soap in it. I want you to wash your mouth out. I want you to wash your mouth out this morning. I want you to wash your mouth out. Badger, what's on your heart? What do you think about this?
Man, this is a multifaceted question. There are fathers that don't need to be raising kids. There are mothers that don't need to be raising kids. There are situations that, like Rico and mine.
Rico and mine.
I am also dealing with something similar.
You got your boy. What?
I found out I had a 14-year-old daughter back in August, and I'm having to figure out how to spend time with her. So let's just leave it at that. So there's a lot of messed up things in these systems. So trying to figure out what's right and what's not, when, to me, figuring out how to work with the other person to spend time with them kids, because them kids are more important than your fight with the spouse and stuff, and that's on both sides. But unfortunately, there are human beings out here that have no interest, and they're more concerned with money. They're more concerned with receiving that child support paycheck, and the kids are nothing but like numbers. They're a bank account. But then there are people out here that truly want to be a part of the child's life. That will do the best that they can at all times. Another situation, I know of a man that literally fought from his kid's age of, I believe, 5 until they were 18 years old, constantly in court, pretty much going bankrupt, fighting for his kids, and watching the mother twist the system to her advantage every single time. No matter how much evidence was presented. Literally no matter. And it's just one of those things. It's a multifaceted situation, and each situation is going to be different. Something Texas has really weird laws. If you can't, if you're not on a birth certificate as a father, you cannot take a woman to court to fight for your kids unless that woman specifically says that you are the father. I didn't know that was a thing. So just think about that. There is a law that says that the mother can say you are not the father if you're not on that birth certificate, and you can do nothing.
Wow. 508.
Yeah.
508-924-3521. 508-924-3521. Give us a call. Tell us what you think about this topic. We'd love to have your input. Samari, what's on your heart?
Just listening, really. I think that custody should definitely go to whichever parent is more suited to raise the children, regardless of if it's a little girl or if it's a little boy, because obviously you don't want any of your children being stuck with one parent who's abusive or just not handling their business the way that they need to. And if both parents are decent individuals, then they both have a responsibility to raise those children. It shouldn't just be based on, and siblings, in my opinion, should not be split up. So it shouldn't be boy goes to dad, sister goes to mom, and then, they get to see each other on weekends or something. I do not agree with that. I do think that if you cannot get along and you get to that point to where you're separating for whatever reason, you have a responsibility to raise those children together regardless.
Yes.
You laid down and made those children together. In spite of whatever the court has in place for you, you still need to come together and do what you need to do to raise those kids. Like I tell my husband all the time, and God forbid anything happen between us, but if something were to happen, I tell him all the time, I said, I am never, ever, ever going to be that woman that tells you can't spend time with your kids. You can't see your kids because of X, Y, or Z. Because for me, it's not about the child support, because I know he's going to take care of his kids. Now, that's not always the case. I understand that there's a lot of crappy parents out there that don't handle their business, and the mamas give them a million opportunities to do things for the kids and they just don't. Okay, those situations are real. They do happen. In a perfect world, that wouldn't exist. But unfortunately, it's a sad fact that it does happen. But is the system geared more towards women? Absolutely, because even abusive women will still end up with custody of the children, and the dad is sitting there crying his eyes out and fighting to have custody of those kids, to protect those children from their mother. And they won't listen. The courts do not listen to the father who genuinely cares about the safety of his children and the well-being of his children and wants to be a father. And that just shouldn't happen. I think there has to be the balance between both. But like I said, in a perfect world, yes. But in this world, no, it just doesn't happen that way. Can a mother raise a boy to be a man? No. Can a father raise a girl to be a woman? No, because what are they going to do? They're going to either raise the girl to have more of these hard masculine traits, these survival skills, which everybody needs survival skills, right? But it takes away from that softness that we are intended to have as a female. And then if you're having a boy raised up in the household with women, he turns out to be a little bit softer than what he should be in most cases. So I think you just have to have that happy balance, and the system needs to get out of the way. In a lot of these situations, the system just needs to get out of the way.
Exactly.
But, there are other things that you can do. You don't necessarily have to go to court. You can go to mediation. Mediation exists. But the problem with mediation is You have to be able to get along long enough to sit in there and mediate for the sake of your children. And a lot of parents don't want to do that because the mama's mad or the daddy's mad, or they can't put their differences aside for the sake of the kids overall. And it's sad. It's sad. But I don't know how you fix it. I don't know how you get to that point. But no, I don't agree that one should just solely go with the father and one should go with the mother. I think the parents need to stop being petty and go, look, okay, this didn't work out between us, but we have these kids together. Let's do what's right for the kids.
Exactly. Go to the phone. I got a couple of calls that just came in. We're gonna go to Navy first, and we have another call from the caller from the 678 area code. We're gonna come to you next. Navy, good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good morning. I'm all right. How y'all doing this morning?
Hey, doing good. I know you've been listening, sis. What's on your heart?
Yeah, I've been listening. I mean, I don't disagree with what everyone has said thus far. It's just not a one size fit all. I mean, there's so many layers. There's so many other points that we can make with this, but at the root of it all, instead of like this kid go here, this kid go there, and the parents, like, my whole thing is we're still like pushing this narrative of separating the family, you know, so why not get services or present resources for the family? Even if the parents are going to separate and do whatever, but that creates a ripple effect that now falls on those kids. So if you go with the, hey, the girl goes here and the son goes here, then what is that doing? Like, you have a free fall with that. The girl is gonna resent the brother because why did you get to live with dad? The son is gonna resent the sister because why did you get to live with mom? Why are we separated? When really and truly it's the parents that have to come together and move ego aside for the sake of the kids. But if the system has to be involved, then why not create an environment to where resources can be put in the home, in both of the homes, that can still keep the sibling group together and y'all learn to co-parent. And better yet, get to the root of your issues in the first place, which is what a lot of us, I can't say a lot of us, but some people don't do, because they sit in my office and shoulda, coulda, woulda about things that, I mean, questions that they should have asked, red flags that were ignored. I mean, like, yes, do we have a responsibility to choose who we sleep with? Absolutely. But I mean, everybody puts on an avatar for the first 3 months. And just because you know somebody, like, I don't know, this is just I don't know, this is an annoying topic for me, to be honest with you. It's just annoying.
Can a lady raise a little boy, Navy, to be a man?
Well, there are plenty of single women that have raised men to the best of their ability. So I'm not gonna say no to that. But do I believe that there should be balance with that? Absolutely, yes. I don't. That again, it's proof that they can, but you would still have people be like, oh, well, he's gonna be too soft, or he's not gonna be this, or he's not gonna be that. I mean, I don't know, but I do think that there needs to be balance. I do think that as long as it's a healthy balance, because just because you have male genitalia doesn't make you a man, and it doesn't make you any more qualified. You know, just because, so you could be just as toxic, you could be just as abusive. I mean, like, there's so many chapters to this one story, and it just gets exhausting after a while.
Exactly.
And I ain't even a mom. And it's exhausting already.
Wow. Let me go to, we got a caller from the 678 area code. Caller, what's your name? Where you calling from?
Hey, Raheem. Good morning. It's Sister Rainbow. Just blessings to all. I agree with the previous caller and some of the other things that have been said, but I definitely was like, let me definitely call in and root to carpool line this morning. Blessings to all. The bigger issues with the system. I believe in transparency because of my Heavenly Father. So to be transparent, divorced for over 12 years. My first marriage, I had my 2 kids, remarried now for probably close to 10 in my second marriage. Amazing stepfather. With that said, I want to speak to the woman's perspective. The question on the table that I'm hearing is that, are women able to raise a boy? And Raheem, correct me if I'm wrong, because I came in a little late.
Yes.
I want to first give shout out to my single mothers.
Well, let me do this. Let me do this,
who have
Rainbow.
had-
Let me do this, Rainbow. Let me pull you back a little further. The whole topic started with this, right? There's a TikTok thing that I saw, and the guy was saying that the system is wrong. He said that the system is really geared more towards the woman in all situations, and he said that if they have kids, if it's a girl, the mother should raise the little girl, and if it's a little boy, say the system should give the boy to the father, and let the father raise the system, but say that we as men get no consideration at all across the board. Everything is geared toward the women. What do you say to that?
What I say to that is that the system at one point in time needed to be geared towards the men, because too many men were losing their rights, that were standing up, that were being good fathers. That you have bums that are moms, and you have bums that are dads, and you have people that have laid down and had babies that don't want to take on the responsibility of raising a human being. So was the system more so geared towards women for a while? Absolutely. But is the system still geared towards that? I'm a African American woman in Atlanta metro area with 2 angel babies, and I just expounded over $60,000 because the issue is not with lots of times each other. You do have people that come out of a relationship that don't want to see kids separated and what have you. I think the system is the problem. So whether you're a man or a woman, I'm a woman that sits on the other side of the system as a woman who's expounded over $60,000 to protect my children from the system. And really just maybe not a good guy on the other side. I'll leave it right there. That doesn't know how to divorce and co-parent properly. So I think it's the system. So while the question on the table is about men, are women that make those choices to not let men in, what the previous caller said, you do not always have to involve the court system. Let's just start right there.
Yeah.
We don't have to involve the court system in all of this stuff, but everybody's not adult enough to do that. But once we get the system involved, the system is not for us. The system is anti-family. And you have some people in the system that are anti-God. That's how my children got here. That's their first and foremost father. That's my first and foremost father. So my bigger issue lies with the system. And as far as children being separated, absolutely not. You know, and the system will do that before mother and father will a lot of times. So my caution is part of my fight was to not involve the system. Because once you involve the system, you let in an entity that whether you're a man or a woman, Raheem, you invited in an energy and an entity that is necessarily not founded in our Heavenly Father, and it's not going to do the work of Him. Because at the end of the day, the family unit has already been compromised. How much further are you going to compromise it?
Exactly. Rico, we're going to go in this order. We're going to go Rico, we're going to go Stanley, then we're going to go to you with a T. Rico, what's on your heart, brother?
Now, she ended it all right with me. The system has already been compromised. Now it's trying to find out what part we play in making it successful. So, you know, I was wanting to bring it back because, you know what I'm saying, first off, we know that some women can raise boys. You know, that question could take away just from, something so obvious that we already know can take away from something that really needs to be looked at and is going to be missed. The court system is one of the problems, and then the lack of cooperation between parents is the other. That's the reason why the court system is utilized. I had to go to the court system just to get access to my son's school records and to get visitation. Can you imagine a man having to go to a court and tell a judge, look, I'm a good guy. My son has been taken from his home and DCF done been involved and they're suffering and he's doing terrible. And I just want visitation. I don't even have a phone. I don't even know if he's alive, Your Honor. I just found an address after 5 years.
Wow.
Your Honor, can I visit my seed? Well, you know what? This has been 5 years since you've seen him. I don't think I can let him come to Alabama to see you. So you got to come all the way down here to Jacksonville, 6.5 hours, and visit him once a week for 2 hours at this center. My son? Man, it's sad that I had to go through the court system just to get that. But guess what? That bat on the other side. She don't want to cooperate. That's the biggest problem. Because if she cooperated from the very beginning, we probably wouldn't even have to go through the court system. But she chose to from the very beginning, and it was unnecessary. So now on some sides, you know, I agree. You just can't up and split the children up.
Yeah.
The court system thought about that.
Mm-hmm.
But then, you know, Cassandra asked a question earlier. And it's like we have to remember the history of how these things went down. Most of these women went to the system that said the man couldn't be in the household because they came from a black experience where black people weren't getting opportunities and they were being oppressed. And somebody said, well, you know what, we'll give y'all a little opportunity. Come to the big city and come away from the country. We got public housing. And when you come and get in this public housing, you can't have no man in there. Uh-oh, you got a little bit better opportunity. It was necessary. I can understand that choice being the condition that black people, not black men and black women, but black people were in at that time. It was a you know, well, you might as well go ahead, baby, and get it. At least you and the child will be able to sleep in some air-conditioned units. Mm-hmm. I'll meet y'all later on. Let me keep saving up my money at this little job that I only make a little pennies off of because I'm black. And they already know how to make sure that we ain't going to grow in this system the way we want to. We ain't going to be able to accomplish this American dream because they don't want us to accomplish the American dream. But they giving you a little crumb, so go ahead and take them crumbs. I'll come up there and we'll sneak and try to make it work. Then that's when all the dysfunction starts. But see, I heard videos. I've seen videos where I heard about them. Well, some black men called out for their mamas right when they was being killed. Mm-hmm. And then I seen a post the other day. Somebody else asked me, why did the black men scream out for their mamas? I'm like, because we out of order. See, when I was in trouble like that, I always said I was going to tell my daddy. Mm-hmm. Daddy! Mm-hmm. If somebody was after me, if I felt like I was in harm's way, I needed my daddy to put their hands on somebody to defend me. I didn't call looking for my mama. But nowadays, guys call for their mamas. Why? Because they've been conditioned and they live in situations where the mama is the only one there. Now, that might be by the father's choice. It might not be by the father's choice. But it all still boils down to me about the fact that the parents getting along and being there for their child, putting their differences aside. Mm-hmm. I think mediation is the key. But at the end of mediation, if you have one parent, if they can't come to a logical agreement for the best benefit of their child, then you bring the legal process in with that mediator, letting the judge know this parent got a problem.
Good deal. Absolutely. Let me go to Stanley. We're gonna go to Stanley there and Toy you with a T. We're gonna circle our way back around. Stanley, what's on your heart, brother? Is the system wrong? Is it just wrong?
Well, the system, if used correctly, as far as I'm gonna start with public housing. If the system is used correctly, it can work. It's not made for people to go in there and stay forever. A lot of people have been in on welfare and public housing. Hold on for a second. Hey. Well, here, the grandchildren don't got it.
Yes, sir. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the system, if it's correctly, is to help people get on their feet. Mm-hmm. You know, you go in there, low income, public housing, with your kids, go in there, find your job, whatever, and it's made for you to get a start and move on. But a lot of people have become generational public housing residents. You know, I know some folks that stayed in there until they died. They was not trying to progress. Then their children and grandchildren get on that type of system, and they stay in there forever. And it's not made for that. And a lot of women that get on the system, you know, I know girls that spit hate. Personally, they're spitting hate to their children about their father. Okay, then when the boys get to a certain age, they can't handle the boys. Then they call dad. Well, you can come get your son. Mm-hmm. Okay, now you try to build that relationship with a child that you've been spitting hate to him about this man that you're sending him to live with for 12, 13, 14 years. It's hard to build a relationship like that. I'll give you a prime example. With my men's ministry, I had a lady from Savannah that was trying to get her son's father to build a relationship with him. And she let him go down there for a weekend. Now started slow. They could not get along. She called me and asked me if I knew anybody that lived in that area. I had to have one of my guys to go down there, get this young man, and hold him, take him out to eat. I just hold him there at Burger King until she can get down there and get it.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Because they just couldn't get along. They was arguing. So I don't know if she was one of the ones that spit hate toward him or not, or if the man just didn't want to get along with his son. But when you have that big of a gap and trying to build a relationship with somebody, that's a hard thing to do.
Yeah.
It's hard to build a relationship nowadays with kids if you in the household with them or you send them every weekend.
Mm-hmm.
But 13, 14 years old, then you send that child to live with that man or that daughter to live with the mom. It's a hard thing to do, man. And
they don't know each other. They don't know each other. Yeah.
It's not big for us to succeed.
Exactly. They don't know each other. A situation like that, they just don't know each other.
Right.
So
you gotta learn each other, and it's a slow process.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes it's gonna work, sometimes it's not.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'll tell you like this: my wife, my first wife, when I split up over 20 years ago. My oldest daughter right now is 38, and we had my kids. My daughters will call me every Sunday night, and the boys will call sometimes. They're not the girl; they're not gonna call all the time. But she said, "Daddy," she said, "You know what?" She said, "When you left home, Mama tried to make it seem like everything was your fault."
Mm-hmm.
But as we got older, she said, people forget children are going to grow up.
Yeah.
She said, "I wish you had took me with you when you left." She said, "You should have took us with you because Mama just tried to spew hate towards you all these years." But she said, as we've gotten older and we can see things for ourselves, we can see everything wasn't your fault.
Yeah.
Exactly. We know some things were your fault, you weren't perfect. But everything that she said was your fault wasn't your fault.
Mm-hmm.
Now that made me feel good as a dad.
Yeah.
For my daughter to say that.
Mm-hmm.
Because everybody has faults. I'm not perfect. I was in my I was in my zone back then.
Yes, sir.
But I was doing what I was supposed to do as a father, and for your kids to still, love you and respect you and do everything they can to help you and see you and communicate with you. I feel like I did something right. So I don't want my kids to be in the system. I always tell all of them, if you get into a situation where you are having financial problems, call me. If you need somewhere to stay, you can always come here.
Mm-hmm. Exactly.
I don't want my kids to bring the children with you. Mm-hmm. I don't want my kids to get tied up in a system that's not meant for them to succeed.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Toy, you want to team?
Oh yeah, I done forgot thoughts and type thoughts, and I don't even know what's going on now. But no, so listen, I'm gonna be real, right? Oftentimes, we are very young when we have these kids. And most of the time we're young, we're in school, we can't work, parents put you out or whatever. And this leads to us going to get different types of help, public assistance, housing, things of that nature. But also, along with that, the culture was that the woman takes care of the kids.
Mm-hmm.
The bare feet and pregnant and stay in the kitchen, that was the thing. And if we go back to originally the thing, when it came to housing and getting money for them, it was because the men went off to war. The men did the big, hard stuff. And the women did the, take care of the kids, clean the house. You know what I'm saying? And when they had wars, they had to make sure they gave the women something because they wasn't, working and things of that nature. And see, now we've transformed. And I'm just going to bring it up to my time in the 1970s, okay? I done saw women that had boyfriends. It only took 17 minutes for us to have sex with a person and get pregnant. And then you wondering why 9 months later you don't like them. Hell, you ain't know them.
Yep.
So this is not all, just like that man Mr. Stanley just said that the kid try to blame it all on the parent. We try to blame everything on the system.
Mm-hmm.
Let's get real 100. God told us a long time ago, get married first. And all of us, before our little hot minds went and laid in somebody's bed, then heard that we should be getting married before we have a kid. And we didn't.
Yeah.
Then we become young. But then we manipulate the system. Listen, I don't know where my baby daddy went. He was going out the window with the television while I was here with the baby. And then we get this money, right? And then we manipulate off of it. Some of us lie to the system, cheat the system to get ahead. But then we have those of us that believe exactly what the system says I am. Let me tell you something, honey. My father wasn't hearing that. Look here, lady. I don't know where you're going to go, but you're not taking my kids with you. Period, point blank. And every time she came and stole one, he went and got one. So it depends on who you are, right? That's what I said earlier. I'm glad I'm scary. Thank you, Daddy, for making me hard and crunchy on the outside. And I'm like a peanut M&M. I got a peanut on the inside because I'm crazy as all outdoors. But I'm hard and crunchy on the outside. And you know, you don't want a war with me. And I think this is what matters. We've lost ourselves. We've lost why we had kids. We've lost why we get together with people. We've lost love. And we do things for reasons. We get pregnant because I want to get out of my mama house. We go get this public assistance money, especially in New York, because they have phenomenal benefits in New York.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? And I've seen women, you care less about the man because you just want a baby because you want your own place. You want to get a couple of dollars from the system, and when you want to get food stamps. And then when the babies start getting older, you have another one. And then when the babies start getting older, you have another one. So how can we blame a system under those circumstances? And yes, some of them people from those households don't need no kids.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? I didn't need to stay with my mama. My mama wasn't right. And I thought about that a bunch of times. But we got to think about this. Kids don't want to be away from neither parent, period. It don't matter if the parent crazy, stupid, abusive, drug addict, or whatever. We still gonna want to be with our parents, and we get lost in a lot of selfishness as if anything is about us when we know once we have these children, it's not. I don't care. The kid don't care nothing about what you've been through. Like the man just said, you left home probably thinking you left me in the way, but I really wish you took me with you. Right? Because here we go again with these different disguises we use when we marry. And then when he's gone, now you weak and broken and you abusing him, doing things to your kids in front of your kids that you should not do. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So when we talk about these life age-changing topics, we need to understand, stop talking about a system. A system is an idea. Stop talking about a state. A state is an idea. We, the people, have the tendency to not do, we humans have the tendency to not do what we are supposed to. And when we don't do what we're supposed to, that system of other people comes in and allows it to break it down and do as they please. So at the end of the day, it's us getting into situations, having these children, not knowing these men, not knowing these women, that is really helping to feed this system. And we need to check ourselves before we can check the system.
That's good. That's good. We're gonna go in this order right here. We're gonna run down the ladies. We're gonna run down with the ladies. We're gonna go Cassandra, Navy, Willow, and then Zamari. Cassandra.
Yeah, you know, I totally agree with Toya. That's what I was saying. You before the system ever comes into play, it's between the men and the women. It's your decisions what goes down with you and your children, or you and your child. So the system isn't even in play in the beginning. The only time the system comes in is when you're not doing nothing. The woman has to try to feed the child. And once, please hear me on this. I am not talking about people like Rico and other men that want relationship with their children and are doing what they need to do to try to have those relationships. I'm not talking about those men. Mm-hmm. But where is that other 66 to 67% that are absent? That's what I'm talking about. I ain't talking about the system taking, coming in and saying, well, you can't have this or you can't have the visitation. I'm not talking about that. So let's just, I want to put the blame at the feet of where it belongs. Mm-hmm. It belongs to two people, two adults that cannot communicate well enough and won't let their pride or whatever, because with women, sometimes women can be, y'all know I'm hard on women and I'm a woman. Women can be, horrible when they've been hurt or whatever. They can be horrible because it's like, I ain't letting you see him. I don't care what nobody say. Blah, 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 blah. And then you got to go through the court and all this other stuff. So women can be horrible when it comes to that because of personal relationships. They get mad. I don't care nothing about me and my children's father's relationship. I wanted to get along with them enough so that he would spend time with his child. That was my concern after we weren't together. That was my concern and nothing else.
That's good. That's good.
And can I applaud the senator on that, because that really cleared it up. You know, when she asked that question, that's a question she could be asking to those women that's making that choice to keep those men away, just alienating those fathers that's really fit and would be positive. You know, because that's what some of the fathers are. You know, they're searching for their children. They're trying to find them. They going broke trying to find an address to serve them in after they done spent $12,000 on an attorney and still don't have an address. You know, so that question applies on both ends. Where are those fathers? Not only the deadbeat fathers that's just choosing to run, but the deadbeat mothers that's keeping them away from the children.
Wow. This whole system thing, man, is corrupt and it's not good. Navy, what's on your heart, sis? Navy, Willa, and then Zamari. And then we're gonna go to Rainbow, then we're gonna hit the fellas. Navy, what's on your heart?
So much, but trying to find the word and not the behavior to articulate it is a struggle for me this morning. And I guess because for me, I agree with everything. Toya and Miss Cassandra summed it up way more articulate and eloquent and beautiful, way more than what I can right now. Because I'm just like, piss poor does not have a gender. And whenever you are a broken person, two broken people raising another and that trickling down and breaking the kid, like that's just annoying to me. Whenever two people cannot set ego aside, set trauma aside, or better yet, go get some help from it. If you're able to recognize it, and I guess for me, that's the basis of where I'm coming from. Because like I said, I'm not a mom, but this topic is like very annoying to me because I know good on both sides. I got some bomb single moms. I was about to go to the tournament right here. I didn't realize. And I got some bomb like homeboys that are wonderful fathers, and they have experienced piss poor people on both sides, and it just aches me because I'm having this conversation with them. How can we figure it out? How can we make sure that these kids don't get the trickle effect of the generational trauma because of the way that mom and them, dad and them, big mama and them, papa and them did it, and it's still looking the same way? Like the gentleman earlier said about the generational housing babies or whatever, like we've always been in Section 8, so then we're going to continue to be in Section 8. Nothing is wrong with that whenever you need the help, but we're in here so long. And then whenever somebody goes against the grain and does something different, why is it a problem? Like, it's so much deeper than what we have time to discuss, and I'm still trying to ask my question. How can we help? How can we change it? How do we infiltrate it? How do we change this, not just the government system, but the system that's in our culture that has been created as well?
Exactly.
Navy.
Come on now. Willow!
Hey, Ryan. Good morning. Good morning, Morning Glow. Good morning.
Good morning. So I had you listening in for a minute because I wanted you to get the gist of what we was talking about. Now that you got it, sis, what's on your heart?
Well, you know, Raheem, you was asking about the system. You know, sometimes, and this is not for everybody, the system has to be used because certain people won't do things that they were supposed to do. You know, I'm gonna use me. I'm gonna be transparent because when I had my baby at 15, and my dad wanted me to take the children's father to court for child support. Now, how could you take a 17-year-old to court for child support and all he had was a shoe shine job? First of all, I didn't care what kind of job he had in the first place. I was not going to spend my time trying to make him the man that he was supposed to be. So I did use the system because back then, you got to think about it, in the 70s, they didn't have the computers. So I was able to work and also be on public aid. I did that in order to take care of my children. I did it. It probably wasn't the right thing to do because that's not the way the system's supposed to be designed. But I did it because I utilized it as a form of taking care of my family because I knew that's what I had to do. So I went to school, I worked, and also I was on public aid. And I thank God for my mom. So yeah, sometimes we do use a messed up system when we have to do what we need to do. Is it messed up? Certainly it is. Because you can do certain things in Cook County, but you can't do it in DuPage County. So it's not consistent. It's not fair. You know, people, I think that some of the court systems try to say that they're equal. They're not. And they're not even fair.
Yeah.
They're not even fair. So I just wanted to put that out there, Raheem.
Good deal. Good deal. Zamari?
I don't even know if I have anything else to add. I mean, all the women have been really on point with this. And I really don't know if I have anything else to say. I mean, it's a screwed up system overall, you know, and it just really comes down, like people keep saying, like, don't lay down and make a child with somebody that you don't even know. Get to know them, get married, and then have that discussion, right? You know, do that first. We're not teaching. Okay, I don't want to say we, because I know majority of the people here who have kids, we've taught our kids the best to our abilities. Yes. But as a whole, in general, society anymore is not teaching their children the right way to go when they go out in the world before they're creating these children and bringing them into that mess. And then they're stuck. They're stuck with two parents who can't get along. See, I'm on the other scope of that, right? Because I have my two oldest daughters and I left the situation. But in leaving the situation with my first marriage, I had to leave my two daughters behind. I could not take them with me at the time. I was not in a good place mentally, emotionally. And I was convinced, he had me believing if I were to take my kids, it's kidnapping. I'd go to jail. I didn't have any option. I was so warped in the head because of the control he had over me. The only option I had was to get out at that moment to save my own life because I was suicidal. So it was either I leave and I leave my kids there, and I always had the intention of going back and getting my children. But when I attempted to do that and create that middle ground with my ex, right? He couldn't even get on the phone without screaming and yelling at me years after, even years after. Send the kids up here so I can see the girls. Oh, I don't trust you. You're not going to send them back. You're going to do this. You're going to do that. And they turned into a screaming match with him. But I didn't have the money to fight in a court system. I didn't have the money to challenge that. And unfortunately, because I'm the mother in my situation, the court would absolutely be biased against me from the very moment I walked in there. You left your children. They wouldn't see the mental abuse, the physical abuse, the emotional abuse that I went through, and where I was in that state of mind where it was either me or him. And that's where it was at that point. So I understand it from that perspective because I've gone through it. I'm not a man, but I've gone through it in that way. And that was really hard. I can't tell you how many times I went to bed crying because I didn't have my daughters. And one of my two daughters now, I still don't have a relationship with, but you know what? When we're getting there, right? But when she called me, she finally texted me one night and she says, it's now or never, call me. She was drunk, but I called her and she told me on the phone, she says, you know, I really want to be mad at you. She said, but you sound so nice.
Wow.
She couldn't be angry at me because everything that her father had fed to her and her sister, she realized in that moment was a complete lie. I wasn't this evil person. And that's the one thing I can say about my mother, even though my mother and my father were not married ever, but they separated right before I was born. Anytime I would go to my mom and I would ask my mom about my father, you know, she never spoke a bad word about him.
Mm.
She never said one bad word about him.
Yeah.
She let me grow up, and I was able to make my own decision by having those conversations with him later on and draw my own conclusion. And we don't do that. Most couples now, they don't do that, right? They badmouth the other parent in front of these kids, and these kids are all messed up and confused, and they grow up hating one parent or the other or both.
Or both, exactly. Yeah, exactly. 508-924-3521, 508-924-3521. Rainbow, what's on your heart, sis?
It's heavy and it's light at the same time because of the transparency being shown. You know, we're sharing some heavy things on here, and to me, transparency is one of the ways to break these generational curses. You want to take it to the root of what I feel that most everybody is saying, the transparency of the beautiful woman that just shared prior to, the transparency of the mother that shared that when she was 15, when she had her child. I too am a survivor of domestic violence and that abuse, and know what the court system looks like to be that mother whose name is trying to be tarnished when you're an amazing mother. I thank God I never had to leave my kids, but the fight to get out with them was one that almost killed me. So we have fathers and mothers, both men and women, here right now, and we're sharpening each other's iron. So I'm just stating the solution as to, we have the question that's on the table that we're discussing. We have things coming up that I didn't think I would this morning be talking about these things. I didn't think I'd be hearing other brothers and sisters talking about these things. And I appreciate the topic. I appreciate the transparency, because I think it's the healing and the growth, and that makes us a better parent.
Yes.
The generational curses are real. So we could say the system is the biggest issue. Let's go back to the generational curses, which goes back to the people, which goes back to our free will and choice and our obedience to the Most High. And us being responsible with responsible adults that have some form of integrity. I mean, you have to look at responsibility, integrity, and what any type of looks like for you to bring a child into this world and not take care of it. So I do hear the same thing being reiterated, but I'm seriously, in certain regards, but so many different aspects of it, that I just say this is a growing moment. I think this is a healing moment. I appreciate the topic, and I'm grateful that we're actually getting transparent with it to say the stuff that people don't say. This court system has not been nice to us on either side, as men and women that love our children. And you have that evil that stands behind it, that's the individual. That individual ain't the court system. That's the individual that utilized the court system to try to harm someone. You have situations where you have somebody that's been abusive for years to a mother or father, or kept children away from a mother or a father for bullcrap, just simple bullcrap, their own personal issues. And with that said, they go and they get an attorney. And the sister that just shared before me, she said she didn't have the money. Because my family had the resources, we were able to fight this, you guys. We were able to fight a judge that now has a check mark in the Gwinnett County court system. It went to the appellate court. They came back to this mother to say that we took your money, unrightfully so. Give her back some of that money. So what I'm saying is that it does still stem back to the individual. And at the end of the day, we do still have to follow the money. And so I do pray for the people that don't have the finances to be able to fight it, because mine were exhausted. If it wasn't for financial support from my family, I couldn't have fought the system and the father that was behind the crap. I see you checking your watch, brother, because you know I watch you in multiple ways. But God watches us all the time. So I leave it right there.
No.
Let us just do our, what's that, Raheem?
No. I was actually about to sneeze. I leaned over so I could sneeze. So you go ahead, sister. You good. You good.
God bless you. God bless you. But no, God bless us in dealing with situations like this. God bless the survivors and thrivers. God bless the fathers that have been kept away from the children. My prayers always stay up with you. While I've been with my children, the attack against them and what I've had to do to protect them has cost a whole lot of money. A whole lot of money. So without it, I don't know if I would have been stripped of my own children.
Wow.
Without the finances to support it, because of the lies and the attacks and what the previous caller said, coming out of an abusive situation, what it's like to try to make that middle ground. So when people say, I'll tell you one of my triggers, when people say, y'all too should figure that out. There hasn't been an us too for the longest time, and you're speaking of a situation that was abusive that if the kids didn't come out of, possibly would have been abused too.
Mm-hmm.
So I think people should watch their words when we do speak about this. But I appreciate a sensitive topic that has come up, that we're able to sit here and talk about this as intelligent adults that love our kids and sharpen each other's iron.
Exactly.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
I thank you, sis. Toussaint, what's on your heart, brother?
I'm listening, and I guess it's really just taking responsibility for your own kids. That's just where I'm at. And sometimes you get a bad mouth, or you get bad mouth, but you still have to take responsibility for your kids. It's a hard deal. I know well how hard it can be to keep that parent-child relationship together with what they call, I don't even believe in broken homes. There's no such thing. Because if I had them, it's my responsibility.
Yeah.
I had a hand in them. It's my responsibility. It's hard. I'll wait. I ain't gonna fuss with nobody. I never have, never will. But some kind of way, I have to. If I can't have a pleasant conversation, which I have to work out in pleasant conversation with the other spouse or the other parent. And if I can't, let me talk to the child. Let me talk to them as much as I possibly can. Let me just talk to them. I'll show up at the game. I'll do this. I'll do that. I'll do what's necessary. You know, I would rather us not go through the system. Let's deal with this together to make sure that, because I used to get a refund check, child support refund check. But child support don't take care of children.
Yeah.
It don't develop no relationship. It don't keep them together to the point where when they get 18, because you can wait it out. And I tell anybody, if you having that much of an issue with the other parent, do as much as you possibly can for 18 years.
Yeah.
And them kids will never forget it. I'm telling you. They'll never forget the strain and the struggle. You would take to keep you and them together in spite of what they hear in their ear. They'll never forget it. I'm telling you, I'm not asking nobody anything. And when you do all you possibly can, as much as you can, when you can, during that period of time, they're going to grow old. And they're going to get old enough to make their own decision at a certain point. And either they're going to say, I want to go stay with my daddy. Or I want to go stay. And I say this to the other parent. Don't make it difficult on the child just because of the issues that you have with the other parent. Don't do that to the child.
Yeah, that's good.
If you can't say nothing good, don't say nothing at all. Because it's damaging and it puts so much of an impact on the child. You wonder why they misbehaving. They want to see that parent. They don't care if you say they low down and dirty. They don't care nothing about that. That don't mean anything to them. Really don't.
Exactly.
But when a seed wants to see where they come from, I think you should let them.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Stanley, let me ask you this question, because we touched on it earlier. Stanley, are you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. Do you think most people, and I say most, I'm not going to say all, but most people are more concerned about the pleasure that goes into making a child and don't put any consideration on the responsibility once that child is here?
Well, some do. And seeing people love to see a beautiful baby. Oh, that baby's so pretty, so precious. But they forget that baby's going to become an adult or a teenager along after those baby years, and the responsibility gets bigger and bigger and bigger. Everyone loves to see a cute baby. But they forget about it's a process. It's going 18 years of taking care of that baby, and then that baby's going to become an adult. And if you have trained that child right, they're not going to be a productive adult. And I think a lot of this also, excuse me, comes with maturity. When we get older, when we learn better, we do better. Because see, sometimes you have children and you're still a child yourself. And if you wasn't, if you were raised by someone else that was a child when they had a baby, you really haven't learned how to be a parent. You know, my mom, I got married at 22. My mom and dad tried to get me to wait till I was 26. I was like, oh, no, I'm in love. I'll marry this girl. You know, and we had kids together. We got married, but, you know, it just didn't work out. But what I've done over the years, as I've matured and, you know, gotten older, I know I can't go back and fix everything with my children, you know, but my plan is now is to set something up for those grandchildren, instill the values in them and train them on what they need to do and how they need to be, so they won't have to go through some of the things that I went through when I was younger. You know, everybody wants to buy a house. What I'm trying to do now is create an estate so everybody will have something that's going to be, give them a start, as my father-in-law used to say. Because a lot of people don't have the start. That's why they wind up in the system. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
So I think a lot of this is security as well. And when we learn better, we do better. So we could talk all day about this same topic, bro.
But
there's a lot of different levels. There's a lot of different levels to what we're discussing today.
Absolutely.
And everybody has a different. Everybody comes from a different environment, you know, different culture, but we're dealing with a lot of the same stuff. And this is getting deep, bro. This is getting deep.
Yes, sir.
So I just appreciate the opportunity to get on with you this morning.
Hey, I appreciate you.
Another got to get on. And I appreciate you coming down to support me on Saturday, bro.
Oh, yes, sir. Not a problem. Absolutely. Absolutely. It was a pleasure being there, brother. It really was. Let me keep this thing going. Let me go to Navy. Navy, what's on your heart, sis? I know you got some stuff going on over there. What's on your heart, sis?
No, I'm just appreciating the conversation. As difficult as it may be to have, I think this is how we hopefully find solutions to undo the doing and make it more healthy and safe for those that are to come. So I don't know if I have anything additional to add to the conversation.
Okay, good deal. Willow!
Raheem.
Talk to me, sis.
You know, you just asked that Mr. Stanley a great question because I think that every last one, I'm talking about, I don't know too many people that ain't had sex at an early age. And we didn't think about the consequences. You don't think about the consequences. I even want to line that up with marriage and relationship. We get into them, and then we don't think about the after effects of what happened. So, you know, everybody gets into a relationship. Oh, everything is hunky-dory. Oh, he's so fine. He's so pretty. And then about a year later, 2 years later, what did happen to all that beauty, his fine stuff? What did happen to all that good stuff, even in marriages? So we think about it, and then I thought about what Mr. Stanley said. We don't, what you asked, we don't think about the after, because even like when we get into a relationship and marriage, after, depending on whatever reason we got into it for, after that, there's life after the bedroom. There's life after the dinner setting. There's life after that, and we don't think that far ahead. We're living in the present. And then what happens is, you know what happened, Raheem? Like, I just thank God that I did take that opportunity. I thought about it, talking to my daughter, because I had one daughter and 2 sons, and we talked about sex at an early age. When she was in 8th grade, I talked about it with her. Maybe I should have talked about it even earlier than that, but 8th grade, I talked about it with her. And I say, if you ever get those feelings and desires, come talk to your mom.
Yeah.
Because the boys are going to be after you. Not because they care. They're going to tell you they love you and all that other stuff. So I did say that to say, We don't focus on the baby. We don't focus on the bills. We don't focus on the things that happen after we get together.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what you put on my heart, Raheem. And I just wanted to put out there.
Good deal. Good deal. Cassandra?
Yeah, I'm just, I'm grateful. I wish there were more men that had Rico's mentality when it comes to being with their children and the love that he has, obviously, for his child, that he fights so hard to be there, man.
Yes.
I wish I had that. I wish I had a dad like that. I wish my children had a dad, like that, because that is so important in young people's lives, to know that father, I don't care what people say, it's something about having your dad have your back, or knowing that he's there and you can pick up a phone. I have desired that all my life. And my father died 3 years ago at 70-something years old. And we never had a relationship.
Wow.
And all my life, I desired that relationship. I reached out. I did everything, because I asked him one time, I said, out of the few times I saw him, I said, do you think that I'm your father? I mean, that I'm your daughter? And he says, I know you're my daughter. And I was like, and I just left it at that. I said, I just would like to spend some time with you. And he said, okay, we'll make it happen. And it never happened.
Wow.
It never happened. And that was hurtful to me all my life, even as a grown woman with children of my own. So, I just want men to realize how important it is for them to be a part of their children's lives, regardless of the woman. Forget about the woman. If y'all don't get along, just make arrangements to see your child.
Mm-hmm. That's good. That's good. Toy, you with a T?
Oh yeah, that go from, well, my daddy raised me, honey. Like I said, he's like, lady, I don't know where you going, but my kid's not going with you. So when I see a man that don't have nothing in him to take care of his kids, I got a big problem with that. I look at life totally differently when a man don't want to take care of their kids. But then not only that, as an auntie, right? Because I don't have kids of my own. Everybody else's kids are my kids. As an auntie, I see the disparity when you have to fight, right? Like if my sister says she want to fight for her kids, right? Even if she's an addict, unfit, or whatever, she's still going to feel as a mother that she wants to have the rights to her kids the same way one who doesn't have issues have it, right? And then when I see the father, if I see that the father is in a better position, I've seen both of those avenues, right? From just within my family, I've seen, okay, what kind of men are my brothers? What kind of mothers are my fathers? What kind of people that they got with, you know what I'm saying? And it's a hot mess. That's why I stepped up to the plate to intervene, because we're having this conversation and there's a lot of kids out there where both of them jacked up.
Yeah.
The whole line before them need to be buried, just like some of these KKK family members that raise their little racist children, because it is culture. You understand what I'm saying? So this conversation, even though it's relevant, keep in mind it's relevant to people other than us, that don't believe like us, that don't do the things we do. And then what do you have? How do you choose between the drug addict mother or the child molesting father? Because they have babies too.
Mm-hmm.
So we oftentimes have this tendency to think about just our worlds and what we do, instead of on or overall. And when it comes to this system, systematically, all these web weaves tie together, because all of these things, the system knows what happens without a father in a household, what happens without a mother in a household, what the possibilities are going to be. They call them at-risk youth.
Yep.
You understand what I'm saying? And then oftentimes as adults, we see it still has issues, but they're not going to do you. I'm sorry. You cannot be the single parent that didn't do what you're teaching your kid to do and then think they're going to do it.
Yeah. Wow.
It's just not going to go like that. So when we talk about this issue, This issue is the cause of multiple issues when it comes to sex, molestation, human trafficking, a need for money, or selfishness, or a lack of feeling a certain kind of way. You understand what I'm saying? This is just not a one-sided black, white, woman, man issue, because the crackhead man and the woman who's going to allow all of her boyfriends to touch the kids, they both going to be in court fighting. And then what do you do then?
Mm-hmm. Wow. Joseph, good morning, sir. How you doing this morning?
Hey, good morning, sir. How you doing?
Hey, doing good. You been listening to us?
I've been listening a little bit. Give me your question again.
Well, we started off talking about a TikTok thing that I saw a young man put up there, and he said the system is wrong. The system is set up wrong. He said a lot of time it's geared toward the woman. He said if there's two people get together to have kids, he said if it's a little girl, that the woman should be able to raise the little girl, but if it's a little boy, say the father, the system should give the little boys to the father for the father to raise. What do you feel about that? Is that a what we're thinking? Is it right or wrong?
I think it's wrong. I think it's erroneous. I think a mother and father have influence over both daughters and males. I think naturally some of our young girls will learn much about being a lady from the mother, obviously, because men, we have our own character in our setup. But strength also comes from, the father and the mother. I mean, I think both parents have a lot to offer both kids. And, in our situation, and I was listening to about the crackhead, in our situation, we have to consider all of these forces that bears down on the family. From the first auction blocks sales, when the shipload of Africans were brought here, the family was busted up. Mm-hmm. And it was busted up ever since then, throughout slavery, and even after slavery. With the convict leases, males were rounded up just for loitering or looking for jobs in the city, in prison, and hired out to work on the plantation, away from the family. And sometimes the kids were taken by this system and employed in the homes for white folks. That's history. That's a fact. Mm-hmm. And we got to look at the whole total picture as we grapple with the symptoms of a greater sickness, because we can't repair the damage if we don't have knowledge of it, if we don't understand it. Mm-hmm. And one thing I love about Jewish people, they have Hebrew schools where the kids go. Their kids are taught things in Hebrew school that they don't learn in public school. Mm-hmm. Chinese people, they do the same thing. Different Asian groups in this country, they do the same thing in terms of breaking away and teaching not only about their culture, but making up for the poor quality of math that they get in public schools. But we got to be like that too about our children, about our families. We need to come together and begin to repair the damage. We just been going on and on and on, unrepaired, and the thing is festering, and it gets worse with every generation.
Mm-hmm. Wow. That's good. Let me go to Tucson, then we're going to go to Rico. Tucson, what's on your heart, brother?
No, not too much other than what I just said, man. You might want to go to somebody else, because I'm looking at grandchildren now, so I'm mm-hmm. out of that realm. Thank mm-hmm. God that through the years,
Tucson, do you know? Do you know the system says the way the system is set up, grandparents have no rights to the kids?
That's okay. Mm-hmm. That's a good. Mm-hmm. I ain't mad at them. That's good. Mm-hmm. I mean, because I love my grandchildren because they all stay out of town. I ain't got to keep me on one of them.
Lord,
my son, what you want to ask me? Look, my son told me at one point because he wanted to stay with me, him and his girlfriend. I said, nope, no. He said, well, I'm not going to let you see your grandchildren. I said, I'll wait till they grow up because they're not mine. That's yours, and that's your responsibility. What I did was I took my responsibility the best way I could to make sure that I wouldn't separate from my kids, and you couldn't separate me from them.
Yeah.
If you try to limit it, I'll do what I need to do, even if I have to stand in the bleachers and wave at them during their game. That's good.
Yeah.
They know I'm there.
Exactly. Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? I'm not trespassing or anything like that. I'm not gonna fuss and fight about unnecessary things. The worst thing I could do is badmouth you. Because that's gonna affect them. And when kids are growing up, it's more so we gotta stop bringing kids in grown folk conversations. You know how when we were coming up, there was probably a reason why grown folks used to tell us, grown folks talking.
Yeah.
Because they was talking about things that we didn't find out what's going on until we got grown. That some of these kids that was walking around was our cousins. Some of them was our brothers and sisters.
Come on. Yes, sir.
I'm just saying.
Yes, sir.
But they didn't spread that out to the point where 7- and 8-year-old children would hear things that was going on. We bring them kids in that mess. And we wonder why they're so confused.
Exactly. Exactly. Rico, talk to me, sir.
Raheem.
Yes, ma'am.
Oh.
Go ahead, Cassandra.
I'm sorry, Rico. I'm really quickly. Every state is different, but grandparents do have rights in the state of Georgia. I just wanted to say that.
In the state of Georgia, they do?
Yes, they do.
Okay. I know in North Carolina, they do not have no rights at all. And like I said, each state has its own little line of things that they do. So I don't understand. We supposed to be United States, but we got so many different. Every state got its own laws, but that's a whole different conversation. Rico, talk to me, brother.
Yeah, man. I ain't really getting nothing from this conversation. I'm getting a little bit from it. I will say that an 8-year-old child or 14-year-old child right now that's in a situation right now in this court system, in this family court system, man, they probably wouldn't get nothing out of it. They'd probably be frustrated. You know, I want to look at this from a children's perspective, the ones that are going through this. You know, we don't address a lot of things, you know what I'm saying, what people should do, how they should feel about each other, you know. And I still think it all boils down to the fact that cooperation needs to be had. If you really want to speak to the parents, the children want to hear that somebody needs to tell the one parent or the other that they need to stop being deadbeats, or they need to cooperate with the other one and stop keeping them out their life. See, I can remember when I was younger, I wanted my daddy to be a better father too. I used to ask my mama, why you ain't put my daddy on child support? She said, well, I ain't gonna force a man to do what he automatically should do naturally. And I sort of felt that, but I wasn't cool with it. So then, you know, they came up with the child support law, and I was like, well, I agree, because I know a lot of women that's been doing it on their own. You ask the question, can a woman raise a man? Yeah, plenty have. Mama raised him on her own. You know, so that's a moot question, 2023. But you know, I've seen women do it and make it happen, and I've seen some struggle. I've seen them bury their children at an early age and cry and say that they called the police on them at 12 years old to come get them 30 times, and the police said that, well, he got to do something terrible before we come get him. Even though he been already showing extreme at-risk behavior. So, you know, I was like, yeah, child support is definitely needed, you know. But then at the same time, I got put on child support, and I wasn't that deadbeat dad. And to be honest with you, I really didn't want money from my dad. I just wanted him to be made to spend time, I wish somebody would have made it mandatory, legally mandatory, is being your son like the way you're supposed to, the way you do with these other women and their children.
Mm-hmm.
See, that's what we need. See, that's what children really want. The adults could go back and forth and say this and that. But I've seen two people have a fun baby and still understand that that baby comes first.
Mm-hmm.
So in these situations that we live in 2023 and in the last 20, since the 70s, plenty of people have had children out of having fun. And they still did what they were supposed to do as responsible parents that knew that their child came first.
Mm-hmm.
So now the system is in place because deadbeats were supposed to pay child support to put their child first, but they didn't guarantee the quality time.
Mm-hmm.
So they said, well, if you're on the birth certificate, you can do this and that, man. Like you said, it varies from state to state. I'm on the birth certificate and I still didn't have a lot of rights or access that I should have.
Yep.
But now you have the parents that alienate the other parent, the custodial parent that alienate the other parent. Y'all remember that documentary I told y'all about, Erasing Family?
Yep.
Go look at it. It ain't just the court system,
Mm-hmm.
but it's the parents that's abusing the court system.
Mm-hmm.
And you know what I hear all the time? Well, one day your children gonna get older, and then they can make a decision. Yeah, they gonna make the decision based off probably the lies that she told, or based off the fact that they gonna conform to an environment and got comfortable with it, and now they don't want to change because they still don't know what to expect with me.
Mm-hmm.
That's 50-50.
Yep.
Something needs to happen before then. So see, like during this whole conversation, I didn't hear nothing really that said what needs to be done. Because the court system is in place for the children, but it's limited.
Mm-hmm.
It still takes away from the basic foundation that both parents need to cooperate and be involved. See, they're making it just a financial thing. I got a message while we was on the phone from my baby mama, the same one. Now listen, she finally unblocked me after 5 years. I've been blocked. And I got a message a couple of weeks ago, come get your son. I'll be on the way. From that point forward, I started getting obstacles and all kind of roadblocks to keep me from coming down now. And I understand where it's coming from. Some mothers can't stand the fact of not being in control or not knowing where the children are. She can't even really comprehend having her son be 6.5 hours away from her. And then I got control of whether when and how she could see him and how often she could see him. You get what I'm saying? So I sort of get some of that being a her thing, a mother thing. But still, for what he's going through and some of these other children are going through, the system needs to tighten up a little bit. I suggest that laws be put in place to make parents mandatory, make it mandatory that parents be in their children's life, not just financially, but physically. I think they should make it mandatory for the parents to cooperate. And if you have one
Rico,
parent
how would they enforce that?
cooperating,
Rico, explain to me how would they enforce it?
They would enforce it by, okay, you got schools. If you got school conferences and one parent showing up and one parent is trying to be involved and find out what's going on, and you got another parent that's not just being neglectful and not doing their part, then take them away from that parent. Or like they have truancy laws. Take them to court, prosecute them.
Mm-hmm.
Prosecute them for not being good parents.
Mm-hmm.
You know, I mean, because these children, man, it's important. I mean, it's one thing to say you can't get rid of them or you can't abort them. But then after you have them, what you going to do?
Yeah. Responsibility.
You got to make sure the parents do what they're supposed to do. So,
that's good.
I mean, I think laws could be put in place to make it mandatory that parents cooperate for the best interest of the child.
Good deal. Good deal. Let me go to Willa. Jamari, coming to you next.
Yeah, right.
Talk to me. Talk to me.
You know, Raheem, it's so sad how you know, we don't understand sometimes how people are. And I listen to a lot of us on the line today, and I can understand where our children are today because of the way the system has done, separate our family, you know, separate the men and from the mothers, you know, giving the mothers more power than the fathers. That's totally a separation of bringing up men, you know, in our household. Because I did hear Rico say that can a woman raise a man, and you know, I used to think that. I stood really strong on that until I got on Morning Glow, because I found out that there are some things that I raised my voice to be nice and good, but I missed something. as men, as young men, as a mother trying to raise men, I missed something. You know, just like a father. If he was to raise the daughter because the mom got killed, she's not there, you know, how's he going to talk to her about her menstrual period? He don't know much about that.
Yeah.
How you going to talk about her breast, you know, coming, you know, how it's starting to form? He ain't going to know much about that. So I looked at it from a man's standpoint. There's some things that I might have missed. So yeah, I could probably bring them to a certain point. But as a man, I need a man to raise my voice because I see how they struggle now to be men because I didn't put the right resource or the right man that I saw in their life to be some kind of guidance for them. You know, so for me, just for me, I'm being transparent for me. That's what I meant. They're still struggling some kind of way. My son's going to be 50 years old this year. My daughter's going to be 45 and my youngest going to be 40. He has matured greatly. But I saw the struggle, him trying to find his way as a man, you know. And then because once they get old, it's really hard to kind of feed anything into them if you didn't do it while they were young.
Yeah, exactly.
So that's what I want to say about him.
Good deal. Zamari, are you with us? There you are.
Yeah, I'm here. What's your what?
Anything?
I like what Cassandra said. You know, she needs a man in the life to help raise those kids, and that's absolutely right. And I think that's where we've lost our way, right? Is overall you need both parents. That's the bigger picture, is we need, as kids growing up, our kids growing up, we need both parents in the home. And if not in the home, we need them to be able to come together to raise these children. And I just wish we had the answer. And like I said in the chat, I really believe this whole system needs to be bulldozed and rebuilt from the ground up because it doesn't work anymore. It just doesn't. And there are good parents out there who don't get custody of their children, who should have custody of their children. Now, there are some reforms that are happening, but it's still very difficult in certain circumstances and certain situations to get a child away from an abusive parent. Because now the system is working with both parents need to be responsible for these kids. He has a right. She has a right. But sir, they're abusing my child. But sir, they're locking them in their room and not feeding them. Well, where's the proof? We don't have proof of that. We'll do a welfare check. Hey, everything seems fine at home. Well, of course, everything seems fine at home. They know you're coming most of the time. They're going to make it look like everything is okay. I can't tell you how many times my mom would do that. Or how many times where there was one particular situation, actually, when it came to light that her husband was sexually abusing me.
Wow.
And then she threatens me. She goes, don't tell them nothing about that. Don't say anything about that. Or this and this and this is going to happen to you when you get home.
Wow.
My mother had no business being a mother. Because she didn't want to lose her other kids. So that fell on me to stay quiet.
That is a heck of a statement. My mother had no right being a mother. That's a heck of a statement right there. That's a heck of a statement.
But it's a true statement.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the impact issue is, once again, somebody slipping through the cracks of the judicial system or the family courts, being in the custody of a parent like that. I mean, it's all about money, man. It's all about money. It's nothing about really the concept of keeping families together, you know, and you can see the results in this young generation.
Exactly.
I mean, you know, I've been on this station for the longest talking about my situation, but since we've been on the phone, you know, like I was saying earlier, after all these years of being blocked, I got contacted 3 weeks ago, son in alternative school, getting kicked out of alternative school. I mean, his situation is on the end. 15. Don't want to come with me no more.
Wow.
And now all of a sudden, when we're talking about him coming to live with me so he could do better and to save him, she hit me this morning and said, "Good morning. What's up with child support?"
Mm-hmm. Wow.
That's her concern. She don't know. I know she's been gambling it online and ain't been getting them. And I've been sending her money on the side along with the child support. Good morning. What's up with child support?
Mm-hmm.
My son on the verge of being kicked out of the whole school system, and she still don't want me to get him. And I still don't know where she lives.
Wow. Wow. We are about to get out of here, man. It's so many. We could extend this conversation till tomorrow and still not cover it all. And still, I think we might just do that because there's so many different levels that we didn't even touch on today about this particular topic right here, man. I think we might wait till the morning and see how we go in the morning, but we might extend this right here, continue this right here. Rainbow, you have anything on your heart? Toya Booty T, coming to you next.
Did you say my name, Raheem?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you say Rainbow?
I did. Mm-hmm.
I really, what Brother Rico said, and what the sister before, forgive I don't know your name, is that when he said he didn't take anything from the conversation because he was talking about the kids, he brought it on back to the children. This is about the children. I have taken something from the conversation because of, the things that we've been through, the things that we continue to go through. I have taken something from the conversation, but I felt him as to if a child tuned in. We don't have children on here. What are we doing as adults to make sure the next generation is not living like? Because what I feel spiritually, and I know I'm dealing with, is there's still a lot of hurt and pain as his parents as to what has gone on, what is going on, and we're still raising our kids. So I want to be here to uplift the parents, the mothers and the fathers, the mothers and the fathers and the grandparents and the caregivers and the aunties and the uncles and all the ones that come forward, the teachers that come forward to uplift our angel babies. But we know it starts at home. And sometimes home don't look like what home is supposed to look like. But what are we going to do in those circumstances when it's not? Are we going to rise to the occasion? Or are we going to fail for the buffoonery?
Exactly.
It really looks like that to me. And our babies deserve for us to do our best. As somebody survived even suicide attempts that God has brought me through, my angel babies have been my motivation. Okay? Outside of God. So I'm saying for the men and the women, my prayers are up in general for the caregivers, for those that are continuing to be there for our babies to fill in the gaps when others are not there, for those when the system is flawed and messed up as we know it is, for those that fill in the gaps for what it is that needs to be done. I just want to say I uplift you. Let's keep on going. Let's keep on doing the work because the work needs to keep on being done. So whether we agree or disagree, I think that prayerfully, I'm praying we all agree that the whole conversation and why it may be continued on until tomorrow is about our youth and our next generation. So we got to get it right as our generation before we can make it right for theirs.
And I was looking around doing different things on my computer, and I popped back on the screen where we broadcast that. And Toya with a T is on the screen. Good morning, Toya.
What's up, y'all?
Hey, we ready to close this thing out, Toya. What's on your heart, man? We probably gonna extend this thing tomorrow, man, because there's so much that we didn't talk about. But what's on your heart right now?
Well, definitely, when it comes to the embetterment of humanity, we need to be talking about it every day. It don't need to be just a one-day topic. But no, that's right. We got to go outside the realm because, like I just said, you can see the mother, you can see the father. One could be your brother, one could be your sister, and they can both be crap. So at the end of the day, let's get back to the village. Let's get back to the village. Let's get back to it not being our problem. Let's get back to, I'm not a role model, so I can walk around and just do and act how I want to do, and I'm not going to affect anybody. No, we have to zoom back into what really matters. You understand what I'm saying? And if it really takes a village to raise a child, then we got to be there to call out that mama if she a deadbeat, to call out that daddy if she a deadbeat. And if we don't want to use the system, then they can come stay with me. All my nieces and nephews know they can come stay with me. Listen, let me tell you something. I beats kids, not beat them. I spanks kids. So you can send them over here if you want to, but best believe if they need some discipline, I'm going to give it to them. So it's not about, mom, dad, sister, brother. It's about in order to be my brother's keeper, that means I need to be able to take care and be willing to be that stand in the gap person for whatever it is going on before it even gets to the system. And not only that, last part, We need to recreate our own system. Hey, it don't have to be just for people of color, but if we the ones that notice the most disparities, then we need to rebuild it and allow everybody else that's on that wavelength to join. Because if the system is already broken, no need to try to rebuild that one. Build our own, and it's still going to take a village to build that new system.
Exactly. We it's 10:17. We're about to get out of here. It's been a great broadcast, man. We've been here for 3 hours and 4 minutes, 5 minutes now. 3 minutes, 3 hours and 5 minutes. Boy, we overtime. We start. We start at 7 o'clock. We started at 7 o'clock around here. Yeah, we started at 7 o'clock around here. Yes, we do.
Yeah, it'd be 7 o'clock somewhere. Not in Atlanta though. But you're right.
No, I'm Eastern Standard Time in Georgia, so I will log in a little earlier, Raheem.
Yeah.
Blessings to all today. I go. Thank you, brother.
Thank you. I appreciate it. Watch this. I got a witness. I got Zamari. What time do we start, Zamari?
7 o'clock. You want to tell them why you started at 7 o'clock now?
No, we ain't gonna get into all that now. We ain't gonna get into all that. But we started at 7 o'clock. Look here. We've been on the road. The last three were Friday, Thursday. Yeah. Thursday, Friday, Saturday. Yeah, Thursday, Friday, and Monday. We've been on the road, man. 7 o'clock.
My clock must be slow.
No. I'm gonna tell you something. If I guarantee you come on, if you come on at 7 o'clock in the morning, you're gonna see me. Zamari should be here. A lot of time Badger be here, but he come in a little later. But 7 o'clock, I promise you, 7 o'clock, not 7:02, 7 o'clock. I'm telling you now, Zamari. I got a witness. Zamari, tell him.
Yeah, no, it is. But I'm gonna tell on you though.
No, we're going to go. I got a mute button. Where your mute button at? Zamari ain't used. I haven't used my mute button on you yet. Now I got a mute button. I can mute your line now. We ain't gonna get into all that.
And he will.
I will use that mute button in a minute. I love that mute. I love me some mute button.
I bet you do. You need a censor button sometimes is what you need.
Yes, Lord. Yes, Lord.
You gotta be fast for that.
Gotta be real. Gotta be on point. I'll be listening intently, but they slip them words in there, boy. I tell you, Cassandra and did I say Cassandra's name? Did I throw Cassandra up under the bus? Cassandra, I didn't do you like that, did I?
Bloop, bloop. Wheels on the bus go round and round. Wheels on the bus go round.
Yes, Lord. But Rico, what's going on today at 3 o'clock, sir?
If you missed today's show and would like to see or hear the rebroadcast in its entirety, you can tune in at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on www.dklmediagroup.com.
Good deal. Willow!
Come on, Raheem. Let's go, Raheem.
Now, Willow, are you ready? Are you ready?
Raheem,
yes.
I am so ready to receive God's word. Are you ready? Let's go.
Well, look here. Let's go.
Let's go, Raheem. Let's go to the throne of grace this morning. Father, we thank you so much for allowing us to get up together, Lord. We thank you, Lord, for allowing us to be on one accord, delivering your message, Lord. We thank you, Lord. Father, I'm praying today that you keep us, Lord, in a mighty way. Yes. Father, you said that you are omnipresent, God. And Father, we thank you so much for being in the presence of your children, Lord. Father, I thank you so much for being a keeper, keeping them protected, guiding them and lining them up with your will. Father, I thank you, Lord, for continually giving us the understanding and the knowledge that we need, Lord. Father, I thank you so much for all that you do in our lives, Lord. Father, we thank you for the word, Lord, that we stand on, casting all our cares upon you. We thank you, Lord, for the healing through your word, Lord. Yes. Father, touch those that are asking for prayer this morning that didn't mention it or didn't say it, Lord. Father, somebody's looking for a word. Somebody's expecting a miracle to happen in their lives. Yes, Father, I believe that you already know. I believe that you already set it in place. I believe that you already prepared them for their miracle. Father, thank you, Lord. Father, I'm asking you, oh Lord, to touch Rico, oh Lord, in his situation, Lord. Father, he's waiting patiently for you to resolve the issue that's going on in his life, Lord. Father, yes, he trusts you. Yes. He trusts you in a mighty way. Touch your son, Lord. Touch him. Give him the humble spirit that he needs to continually go on in this evil and wicked situation, Lord. Allow him to be part of his son's life, Lord. Father, tear back that barrier that's stopping him from being close to his son and keep his son safe. Keep him protected from the evil and wicked things the enemy thinks he got planned for his life. The devil is a lie. Father, we're reaching out to you and we're trusting you. We believe that you've already done it. We thank you, Lord, in advance. We give you the praise. We give you the honor. We give you the glory. In Jesus' name. Amen, amen, and amen. Thank you, Lord.
Amen.
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 It's been a great broadcast. I want to thank everybody for joining us. And more than that, I want to thank you for allowing DKM Media Group and Associates and the Morning Glow for being a part of your day. It is now 10:22. You're about to exit the Morning Glow. But before you go, I want you to do me two favors, if you will. One, I want you to continue to pray for us because we're certainly praying for each and every one of you. Number two, why this is real simple. I want you to go out there, find somebody and give them a hug because you never know. It could be the only hug that they get, or it could very well be their last. Love you, and ain't nothing you can do about it. Have a great day and a better tomorrow. That we shine some of this light on you from the Morning Glow. Take it out there into this wicked and cruel world that we live in and let your light so shine. If you get an opportunity, give somebody some love. You just might find some love in return. Won't that be a beautiful thing? Have a great day. Take care of each other. And please, please, please be blessed. Show somebody some love and truth today. Talk to you tomorrow. God say the same.